Hello, everybody. Welcome in, Marcos. We are back with another tier list this week. And we're gonna learn very quickly that I do not remember the name of a lot of fairies. I'm like looking at this list and I'm like, whomst? Whomst is that? Especially any of these really early fairies. I'm like, girl, I don't remember a lot of you. So feel free to remind me, anybody who's seen these seasons far more recently. I'm gonna have to do some Googling because I'm gonna forget everybody's names. What a surprise, nice tier list choice too. Thank you. Oh my god, I almost didn't make this stream because this morning I had a friend who was like, oh my god, I have an elephant ear plant and I don't want it anymore. Be gone, elephant ear plant. And I was like, I would like a free elephant ear plant. It started at 10 a.m. Girl, it took me until like 10 minutes ago to get home and have finished up the whole process of getting that plant. It was I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna make it for this week's stream. If I don't make it home by 2, I'm just gonna skip it. But I got here. I got here in time. I remember someone's gotta carry me with some of these older names. Tart is one of my favorites and funniest. I remember Tart. I think Sweet was strong, but I'm like, who are you? Is this Tart's girlfriend? Did I miss? I don't remember who she is. It's been so long. Lottie, welcome in. How are you today? Is there just a giant list of their names? Because some of these have definitely gotten forgotten. Some of you guys are completely forgotten. Oh, there's a list, but somebody put it not in order. That's not helpful. I know who Muffadoon is. Trust and believe I have not forgotten Muffadoon. Oh my god. Let me find another list. Find another. It's gonna be alphabetized, and that's gonna kill me too. Oh my god. Yeah, it's alphabetized. We'll figure it out. Hi, Rosie. How are you today? I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. I just realized that I need to change something that I'll let you know what it is when I've updated it. And I don't have to be embarrassed about being wrong in this one. That's Tart's fiance. I forgot her name. See, we all don't be knowing who she is either. We absolutely don't remember. My favorites are Podun and Nyataran. Chiffon. I do remember Chiffon. I remember Chiffon. I can remember the ones that are easy. It's gonna be these early babies that are going to be a bit of a nightmare. They're gonna be a bit hard. Even some of the, like, I'm glad that they bunched up some of them, like, girl, do they even talk? Where did my mouse go? I've already lost my mouse. Here we go. Do these guys talk in Kira Kira, the little, like, the dessert animals that probably have a formal title that I don't remember? Do these guys even yap at all? Do they say anything? Welcome in, Mo Ali. Rabadine. Rabadine's gonna be up there. Rabadine's gonna be great. Alright, I have to remember I have not filled this out yet. We've got the wedding cake here. We've got the, I think I usually put donut second. We have brownie. Cookie with icing. This is where I gotta remember where we go from here. I think we have health bar. Not health bara. That's not what we want. Not the bara. Add a row below. Okay. Then we have sugar, or just sugar. Gotta remember the just. And then finally, we have the salt tier, because I don't know if we should have an extra tier for dirt. I feel like there's gonna be an extra layer of I hate this character a lot. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to look up all their names. I'm gonna forget so many. Dude, fairy names are too forgettable. Too forgettable sometimes. This is where I'm gonna really prove myself as a fake fan, actually. I remember them talking, but it was some really, really few times. That's what I'd be saying. But some of these characters, who's this guy? And her and him? Like, I know that there's a lot of fairies for, Yes 5, because they have, like, the whole kingdom. But they clearly picked out a few of them that they think were important enough to include on this tier list, and I was like, girl, I don't know. I don't know who you are. Tart's Italian voice actor is so funny and great. Oh, I feel like Tart and, like, Poonce are, like, the best characters to voice because they're so fun. Oh my god, I didn't know that it makes sense that there's Italian dub for Precure. I just didn't realize that they had done Somebody had done it. I think it was probably Nick was the one who compiled a list of like all the different foreign dubs. I've seen the Brazilian dubbed version of Glitter Force. I didn't even know that they did a Brazilian Portuguese version for Glitter Force. They're actually okay, not so bad. That's good, because like I feel like people have a hate-love relationship with the Glitter Force voice acting, and I think it really depends on the scene for me to be like the voice acting was rough or the voice acting was not. It's actually okay. This is gonna be fun. The fairies from Splashdown are so fun and cute. This is gonna be rough because those are the ones I'm gonna remember the least. I also like Aroma Impa. Yeah, we got some good ones. Alright, I'm going to try to get a thing going so I can see what the names of these guys are. I'm here, welcome in, Sakura Bees. How are you today? Alright, fairies. Because people are like, they got the villain fairies and stuff. People did not get included on this list. And then some fairies on here are like not fairies. And I think it's kind of funny who got included. Alright, so I'm just gonna look up Futari fairies. So I'm almost positive I know all of their names, but just in case. Just in case. Cool, it redirected me to the master list page. That's not what I need. Oh, the Heartiels. Those are a whole category too. Alright. So what we got? Is it? I thought it was Mippedu and Meppedu. Is it Meppedu and Mippedu? I thought Mippedu was the male one. Am I getting those? I did get them backwards. Okay, so Mepple is our little guy. I just remember him being like dad energy. Not gonna lie, these two are really similar, like Cosmo and Wanda, but like watered down to a more palatable version. But like I remember being fond of these two for the most part. I didn't have a lot of beef with them. They were just kind of like, they felt like parental figures for the main girls. I'm also doing great. I'm glad, Rosie. Gokigenyo. I can memorize mini Pokemon, but not Precure fairies. Okay, thank God. I feel a little bit better. I feel a little less like a fake fan. The Latin American dub of Glitter Force is hell. Not even Muso's voice from Wings Club could save that thing. I think I had a friend who speaks Spanish, and she was like, I listened to the Glitter Force, was it, I guess, like, was it a Mexican dub specifically? She was like, it was rough. it was a little, I don't remember which country was in charge of it, but she was like, it was rough. I like the Latin Spanish of Digimon Adventure 1. There, something needs to be good. Digimon dubs, I think, are usually pretty good. Welcome in, Kira Crystal, how are you today? I always said Mepple is male, and from what I've seen, he's got fun energy. I like him. I just remember him having, like, dad energy, but also a little bit of bro energy, because he'd be like, Nagisa, let's not do that thing, and she'd be like, I'll do what I want. Like, I think I just liked them. It's been a hot minute since I've seen them. And I just remember her being, like, soft and cute and dainty and just, like, really matched, Honoka. So, it was just kind of fun. I remember them being, like, pretty solid fairies. But I don't remember them being overly memorable, but to be fair, it has been, like, 20 years since I've seen... I think it has been almost exactly 20 years since I've seen Futari, so it's been a hot minute since I've seen these guys, to an extent where I could remember what they do. Funny thing, Mepple is voiced by Tomokazu Seiki, for those who watch the mega animes, and the same VA for Domokashu from G Gundam. One of them passed away. I thought it was Mepple's voice actor passed away. Is it one of the ones from Splash Star? I know that we've had moments of silence for the voice actor who passed. There's been a couple. We're unfortunately hitting the point where a lot of voice actors are no longer with us, and it's very disheartening, both in the Western sphere and the Eastern sphere. But we respect their work. Has anybody watched Kami-sama Mina... Why can't I speak today? Minarai Himitsu no Kokotama. I have not. What is it? Does it fill me in? What is that about? It has many voice actresses who voice Precure and fairies. Ooh, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. That sounds interesting. I'm gonna write it down. Kami-sama. Da, 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 da. Do. Oh, this looks really cute. This, dude, how did I miss this? This is like got sort of Tamagotchi energy going on with it. This is really cute. All right, I'm adding that to the list. Absolutely. It was one of the fairies from Splash or Choppy. Oh, okay. I got you. I got you. Pneumonia. That's what it was. All right. Podon. I remember you. I remember you real well. Question is, how do I feel about you? I know that most people like look back and they're like, Podon was probably like the king of being the most annoying fairy ever. I remember him being terrible, and then Lulun came in and was like, oh my beer. I remember her being like way more intolerable, but once she became intolerable, he became very tolerable. I remember liking him by the end of it and being mildly annoyed by her, but it's been so long. I think like I eventually reached a point where I was like, yeah, I can mess with him. He's cool. He's fine. I remember just being the new annoying one, and by being more annoying, she usurped him, and he was able to promote himself to being a good fairy. Like I remember him having character developments. Like I can't look back and say I hated him, because I remember there being character development where he got better. He definitely got better at some point. The Kokotama series is the first anime that I've heard and learned about Kaede Hondo, and she's popular now. She plays Kokoro, the main girl character. Oh. Yo, I'm happy to hear a stat cast. Let's go. I like this series more than I expected. The second season gets much better with the new characters and save the series from being repetitive. I feel like that's always the case. I feel like the writers tend to pick it up, at least for like older series. I feel like modern series, it's the opposite. It will start off being like really good, and then it turns into the Promised Neverland, and we all get real big sad. Podon made me rage quit Futari. That's what I was saying. I was like, I know people passionately hate Podon a lot. Oh my god, going back to remember all the fairies, right? He's more tolerable in the Canadian English dub. I need to catch up on that. I know they've been airing it, and I've been like putting it on in the background as some white noise because I want to support that they're doing these streams. For people who don't know, the Toei Animation English or American page is, it must be because it could be America because it's both South and North. They've been doing marathons of the I believe it's probably the Latin American Spanish dub and then the English dub from like, I think Canada made it back in the day, because I vaguely remember there being a dub somewhere in the ethos around the time that like, that's around the time where YouTube cracked down on pirating and ended the golden era of YouTube. Mini history lesson. It was fun because Podon was my favorite character and Futari, and Hikari turned out to be my absolute favorite cure of the original 5 seasons. It was Destiny. I love Hikari. I think that's probably another reason why he got more tolerable too, is I liked their relationship a lot. They were really cute. Okay. Moving on to our next ones. I've got to remember good old-fashioned Choppy and Floppy and Choppy. Because I don't remember them at all. I remember Moop and Foop. I remember Moop and Foop. I don't remember these two at all. And I think it was not helpful that they didn't show up in Otana. I guess, sorry, spoilers for Otana, but they don't show up in Otana. And I was like, I remember you two. I remember these two being fun, so we're gonna skip ahead. I remember these two being fun. I like them. They didn't do much, but their presence was much appreciated. These two, I really think I just remember them being the same as Mipple and Mepple. I don't remember them being too different, personally. I remember them just being nice figures, but because I don't remember them, I'm tempted to put them in Cookie. I wrote Cookie with and just forgot the icing. Oh my god. The first Precure I ever watched and learned about the series from the franchise is Sweet. Oh, that's an interesting one to start on. Then I watched Smile, Heartcatch, Fresh, Splash Star, Maho, and then Go Princess and so on. I'm kind of curious. See, this is one of the things that I'm always curious about for people who don't start in order, because I just watched it in order because they released in order as I existed. I'm curious what people's takes are for being like, Sweet is like what set the like standard for how you viewed the franchise. And it's curious like what it was like going from like Sweet to like Heartcatch and being like, they're all part of the same franchise, but Heartcatch is so different. I'm very curious what it's like when you don't have it in order. For me, the Splash Star fairies are better versions of their predecessors. See, I probably would have that opinion if I remembered anything. They didn't show up in Otana due to Flappy's VA was busy, and it was probably take too long to recast Choppy. That's fair. That's fair. I was hoping, like, at least they'd sit there and, like, showcase them. They didn't have to say anything, but just, like, acknowledge that they exist. Because I can't remember after the end of the series, did they just go back to the, like, what was it, the fountain was where they came from in that one? There was, like, the garden fountain place that they all resonated from. Something to do with the tree. I don't know. I vaguely remember so much about Splash Star. I just remember I liked Splash Star more than people seem to like it on average. I don't know about you people, but I like the romance between the fairies and the humans when it happens in those seasons. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. We'll talk about it. I love Flappy. Choppy was very soulless, low-key, but Flappy's a silly little guy. Like, his relationship with Saki, like, they were big sister and little brother. Aww. That's cute. My first season was Go Princess Sweet was one of the last ones I watched before Delicious and Hirogaru. That's such an interesting... See, this is so interesting to me. Like, the perspective of it. Because I feel like I've had the ability to, like, morph over time with the way that the writing changed, but, like, some seasons are just so different from others. Especially if you're jumping from, like, old Precure to, like, a more newer one. But I love Heartcatch and Fresh. Good seasons, good seasons. Alright, let's talk about these guys and why I debatably want, like, a dirt tier. I don't like Coco. So I, like, for a second, I'm going to acknowledge the elephant in the room. I don't like it when they ship, like, the older characters with the younger characters. I'm gonna put that, like, out blank. I don't like it when seasons do that at all, for more or less obvious reasons. However, I will say this, and I've said it before, when I watched, Yes 5 back in the day, I didn't realize there was an age gap. I was dumb. I did this with other series too, like with Sailor Moon, totally went over my head that she was a middle schooler. I thought everybody in Sailor Moon was in high school. I thought that Mamadou just went to a different school. I didn't realize that they made him an adult. Like, all this stuff went over my head as a child. I don't know why, because the start of Sailor Moon would always be like, I'm Usagi Tsukino, a middle school student. And my brain said, I didn't hear middle school. I don't know what that is. High school it is. My thing, as I've said before with Yes 5, I watched Yes 5, and I always saw Coco standing at the front of the classroom, and I was like, this stupid little star student's always sitting up there yapping, like, when's the teacher gonna show up? Did not realize he was a teacher. I also always thought it was weird that Ren was able to run an entire jewelry store and didn't realize that Nuts was, technically speaking, the adult who was, like, in charge of the store, so the store would be there. Part of me assumes that the reason why they wrote at least Nuts to be on the more adult side was so that they could do stuff like own a business. But there's other seasons like Heartcatch where they had a business and they're full-on children. I know back in the day that was like a Toei thing just to age up characters in order for them to do normal society function things that children couldn't do, and eventually they're like, we don't care anymore. But with Coco and Nuts, I just genuinely, with the way that they drew Coco and everything, I did not realize that he was an adult at all. Not like, I genuinely thought he was the same age as everybody, because he looked like he was gonna go to the skater park and do a sick ollie all of the time. I was like, that does not come off to me as a mature person. He did not come off as like a mature character to me. That being said, how do I feel about him if going from the mindset that I was not aware of the age difference? I hate this dude. I hate Coco with every fiber of my being. He's just such a brat the whole time. He's like, I hate you, Nozomi. They have like 1 second of them staring in there and they're like, romance. Rest of the time, he is so mean to her. He's just always talking about how she's not good enough. And I was like, you suck. And then he does it in Otana, because I was like, maybe it's just me. And that's how I like remembered it from the dark ages of my childhood. And then I watched Otana and he's like, I'm gonna be a brat the entire time. And like, to the point where Nuts had to punch him. And I was like, valid. So valid. He sucks. I hate Coco just as a character. Age aside, I hate Coco with every fiber of my being. I'm gonna get real. Coco and Nuts' voices are so annoying as fairies. Yeah, I feel like they just didn't understand how to do male voices as fairies yet. And they're just so insanely high. And I'm just like, I cannot. I cannot with how high-pitched they are. They got better. Honestly, I think so much of, like, interesting enough voices throughout the entirety of Yes 5, I think, are something that improves significantly over time in so many different aspects. Does anybody remember the scene where her mother saw a handsome man as Coco trying to wake Nozomi up and she... And she was like, hold on, Nozomi. God. These two are the reason why Urara and Syrup is a good ship. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. A lot of people find their voices annoying. Yeah, they're pretty bad. I respect your opinion. I know you like them. I'm like, I get it because the series does push this ship. Like, at the end of the day, if people like it, it's not like the series. Like, I get that people are going to like these ships because the series wants them to happen. Like, I've got tons of people who are like Kaito and Uta all the way for Kimito Idol. And I'm like, oh, like, I get why you do that because the series is pushing them and it's very annoying, but I hate it. And Otana, when he disappears and never explains anything to her, let her feelings bad. Yeah, I hate him. The only thing that was, like, good was, I'm not gonna lie, that kiss kind of hit in the second movie. I was like, that was romantic. That took me, like, the kiss of, like, trying to break the curse. Like, that's the kind of angst that I do like in stories. But then it's just, I hate Coco. I hate him so much. Oh my god. I love Syrup and Urara. They're the best part of it. Their episode was easily the best episode. The voice actress is the same as Yurika and Bonnie and Pokemon X and Y anime. Oh, interesting. Miria Issei. Got you. You guys are making me. I literally, when Pokemon ended, I was like, I'm gonna catch up and watch all of Pokemon because I stopped somewhere in Diamond and Pearl, I think is where I stopped. But I watched all of it back when I was a kid. I should sit down. All right, now Nuts is a harder conversation to have. Nuts is a little bit of a harder conversation to have. Because, again, did not realize he was an adult. I liked Nuts. Well, okay, so I hated Nuts at first. He was so irritating in the series. But I really liked his bond with Komachi. I'm not gonna lie. I really liked I liked the quiet one being the one that ended up kind of getting him to break out of his shell, and then I liked that he helped her write, and I thought that was kind of cute. Like, it's weird, because the one who's, like, Coco's supposed to be the friendly one, but, like, Nuts is supposed to be the standoffish one, but he actually ended up being nicer, and when he was mean, it was, like, a little bit more valid. So I actually liked Nuts back in the day. And then I heard about the age thing and I was like, no, don't ruin it for me. And then interestingly enough, of all the relationships they were going to push in Otana, they were like Komachi and Nuts were like, hey, and that was about their interaction. And I was like, that's all we're gonna get? I liked his character development. If anything, I'm putting him up here because I did like his character. He was a more interesting character. The only problem is him being an adult. But, like, honestly, he was the most responsible of them. So, like, we gotta be so real with it. We gotta be so real. He tried harder to be a good person. And he didn't get with Komachi in the end. So I guess he's better for that. He just, I mean, to be honest, the only thing he did in Otana was punch Coco. And to be honest, that was the best thing that could have happened. Like, to be fair, that's a lot. Da-da-da-da-da. I remember when I was watching Yes 5, I felt so bad for Nuts. Had to be with him. Yeah. I'm surprised Serena's voice actress isn't in Precure yet. Oh, is she not? I respect Nuts for getting Coco to wake up and how he is more responsible of the two. He is. Like, honestly, he should just be the leader. Like, Coco can get out of here. Nuts should rule the kingdom. I respect that he rejects Komachi's confession, but he is kind of bland and nothing burger. That's fair. I think that's fair. Nuts is interesting. At first I didn't like him, but then I changed my mind. Yeah, I think he had good character development. I think he came off terrible. And then he got a lot better. Welcome in, Afro. How are you today? Alright, next is the Enigma of Milk. Now, this is another one that's going to be hard. So, I am going to, for the sake of this, and I'm going to make this super clear up front before we even get into this. To me, Milk is one character and Kurumi is a different one. I get that she's the same person and she's the one who gets the character development and everything. But if we are talking about when she is just Milk, she's a fucking menace. Sorry, I don't try to cuss too much here. But she's a menace. The entirety of Yes 5, I have not been able to recover over the fact that she just spent the whole season being like, I like Coco even though he's garbage. And I'm going to be mean to Nozomi because I'm jealous. I have not, like, I understand that for season 2, when they turned her into Kurumi and they gave her a human form, that they were like, we've learned how to improve her. But, like, every time she went back into the fairy form, she sucked. I'm like, she is only good when she is human. The second she's a fairy again, she's sassy. Even some of the movies, she has scenes where she goes back to being a fairy, and she goes back to being terrible. And I'm like, I think her fairy form is cursed. So we are putting it in the salty. Because I'm salty about it. I'm so sorry. I did a weird mini arc they gave him, but I really need to rewatch S5. Is Milk the first fairy to become a Precure? I think, technically speaking, yes. She is. I like Coco even though he's garbage. That's like Milk's whole thing. Some people I've seen compare Milk to Meroron. I don't see it. I think that the two of them have very similar archetypes, but you can tell that the writers learned not to do what they did with Milk. Like, because besides the fact that the two of them just look very similar to each other, I'm not putting her in that tier, I'm just doing that for visuals. She does have the same bit where, like, she joins the group and is in love with a character and has antagonism towards the rest of the group and mainly the main character due to that romance. That's the comparison between her and Milk. Like, I definitely think the two of them have the same formula, but they were like, we're not gonna make her intolerable. I love Milk. Yeah, she's toxic and all, but some kind of relation to Coco is a victim to me. I love her. Yeah, you know what? That's so valid. We can just say it's Coco's fault. No, I missed my baby Milk. We're in the hot take era. I think it's just gonna, like, really plateau as we get towards, like, the end of the line. But, like, in the beginning, there's gonna be some hot takes. It's gonna be some hot takes. Anyway, Syrup is definitely going in Wedding Cake. Syrup's best boy. I think we all can agree that Syrup's a sweet baby angel. And he doesn't have any problems like everybody else does. He sits there and he loves Urara. He's cute. He's also doubles as transportation. Like, he's the full package of the fairies. He contributes everything to the series. He does all that we need to do. I don't know why they still make so much merch for Yes 5. Could they focus on other season? To me, it feels like Toei is picking them as a favorite trifle. I think it did really well, because to my understanding of the history for Precure is that it saved the franchise. I think, like, Precure really tanked after Splash Star and Fresh, and I think Yes 5 saved it, and they kind of basically took the Sailor Moon formula and injected it into the Precure formula, and were like, rise from the ashes, this beloved series, and they kept it going. So I think they just, like, really view it as a very beloved one. I do think it's getting kind of old that they keep getting a lot of merch, though. I do think it's very disrespectful that at least, like, because of Otana, we've gotten Splash Star and Futariwa to get, like, stuff. And Futariwa always gets stuff because it was the first season. But, like, Fresh is so forgotten. She is found dead in a ditch. I think they need more Fresh love. Oh my god, Kier Crystal, thank you for becoming a magical. Welcome in, welcome in. Milk appreciation comment. I don't think she is as annoying as it seems. Yeah, it would be good if she'd actually be able to express herself, but she is still a queen. Also, Coco is stupid. I definitely think, again, for, like, the way they handle her character in, like, Yes 5 Go-Go and onwards, they do a lot better at, like, having her be her own character. I feel like for the Yes 5, she was a plot device. She was just there to be annoying and an obstacle for Nozomi, which is why it's not so much her fault, but the way that they wrote her. They just kind of didn't want her to be more of a character, and then she became significantly a standalone character when they decided to do something with her with Yes 5 Go-Go. But, like, I think what made me solidify my hatred for Milk is I do remember very vividly, like, maybe the final episode of Yes 5, Nozomi is trying to say goodbye to Milk, and she's like, huh, and, like, still being a brat, and I was like, you're never going to see Nozomi again from the context of what's happening and what they think is about to happen, and she's still being a little jealous brat, and that made me so annoyed. I was like, ma'am, just be nice to Nozomi once. We didn't know at the time there was going to be a Yes 5 Go-Go. I was like, you can't go on the last limb and still be a brat. Which is why most of Milk being here is just Yes 5. Go-Go and Otana are not counted. She's significantly better in both of those. Syrup, best boy. He's absolute best boy. We're getting a lot of Syrup love. Also voiced by Romy Park. What was the context for that conversation? I'm so bad with keeping up chat. I'm so sorry. I love Syrup. His story is very interesting. He's funny. He's cute. His relationship with the team is well done. He is everything Coco and us wish they could be. Facts. Facts. It was actually Fresh Precure that saved the franchise, not 5. I thought it was, yes, 5. I thought they still had some issues with Fresh. But it seems multiple people are saying Fresh. But I know that they, like, really did, like, I have to go back and look at the chart of numbers, but Yes 5 did well. What did I miss? We have done only, like, we're still in the middle of Yes 5 right now, because we're about to go with some characters I don't remember at all. I'm gonna have to read their Wikipedia summaries to remember anything about them. Hearing you read our funny comments makes it funnier. I found a few manga chapters of some Precures. Some were weird and some were okay, but not as good as the anime. Yeah, some of the spin-off by the Kamikita twins is good. The novels are interesting as well. I think my favorite is, if you ever get the opportunity to read it, the Star Twinkle manga I think is probably one of the best spin-off manga. A lot of the other ones are kind of just, like, retellings of the main story, but there's a couple of them have volume 2s where they do stuff independent of the franchise in, like, kind of post-story, which is very interesting. Star Twinkle has a very, very good one. I think the Mahotsukai one's really good, but I haven't read that one yet. Milk was better in Go-Go. She turned into Milky Rose. Yeah, the second she became Kudomi, better. According to the Wikipedia, it says that Fresh was the formula to save franchise. Interesting. Okay. I'll have to look more into that. Yes, 5 did indeed save the franchise. Splash Star was a breakdown, not Go-Go like so many people think. Yeah, I don't think Go-Go sold as well as the first one, which is why they probably didn't do a 3rd season. Because I think they were still experimenting with how many seasons they were going to do back then. Alright. I gotta look up who the heck these people are. Fairies in ES5. Oh, they were called Pinkies. Why do we do that? Alright, are any of these guys recognizable? Oh no, these are the collectibles. These are our little MacGuffins of the season. Where are the actual fairies? Oh god, there's so many of them. There's so many. That's awful. There's too many of them. I like it when you guys are non-talking trinkets. Oh god. I have the Dream Collect. And that has a bunch of cards of characters that I don't remember at all. I do remember some of these fairies, like, showing up every so often and having personalities for 10 seconds and then they go off screen. Alright. Even this Wikipedia refuses to showcase anybody outside of our main thing. Like, they put in Papaya. I don't know who Papaya is. I don't even think Papaya's on this tier list. Who are these characters? They must be Go-Go characters. But no, this is the Palmier Kingdom. It should list everybody out, but it doesn't. Who are these characters? Can we put them in? I don't remember. We're gonna do the IDK. Or I don't remember tier. We'll do the, no. New phone, who dis here. We're gonna put you guys here. I don't remember any of these guys. I don't know who any of these guys are. Oh my god. The episode Tart getting sick and switch bodies between Tart and Cure Pine. Oh, that was an endearing episode. I did like that. Alright, let me catch up. I realize I'm a bit back. The only manga I couldn't see or read a sequel for is Dokidoki. You can get it on Bookwalker, you'll just have to translate it yourself. But I definitely recommend Bookwalker if you're trying to get any of the Kamikita manga at least. I don't know the best place to find the novels, though. I like the season 2, I love the characters. We're not quite at Fresh, but yes, we will get to Fresh. The Monarchs for Go-Go, the first one is a good mentor, the second one is an unstoppable bragging aunt, the third one is a brat in love with Coco, another one. Like, the series was like, God, you love Coco, and I was like, that's not true. That's a lie. That's a fat lie. One time I was looking up the manga Precure, but some of them are just fiction of shipping, minor, yeah. Some of them are not fantastic. And then there's also going to be Dojinshi as well. Thank you, Google, Wikipedia, and the wikis for the help. For real. Yes, 5 Go-Go was a weird season. It was definitely something. That one I saw in a little bit more of a weirder way, because that was distinctly Yes 5 Go-Go is when YouTube was like, you cannot have actual TV shows on YouTube. And I was like, no! So I, like, saw the first half of Yes 5 Go-Go, and then I had to look very hard to find the rest of it. So I definitely have the most shaky memory of this season. Da, 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 da. So yeah, they're the monarchs. That's what we're getting at. I do remember the first one. He was King Donuts, if I'm not bad. You know, King Donuts is a cool name, but he's not getting donuts here. That is for someone else. Bookwalker. Yeah, 100% recommend Bookwalker for any, like, Japanese, manga and stuff that you want to get, because they let you buy it digitally. Obviously, you're gonna pay for it, but you definitely get it in the highest quality, and if you get, like, a visual translator, it's pretty easy to do it, because you can just use the Google Translate lens thing if you have a cell phone with a camera. Pretty easy to read. Not too bad. Raw manga and novels, I'm okay with as long as it has illustrations. Fair enough. Like, I really want to read the Fresh novel because all I know is that the director for Fresh was, like, super, super into Fresh Precure and went all in on writing, like, more and more for it. And was like, I'll do a sequel. I love Fresh. And I was like, I'll do that. If honestly, if the director and writers were, like, really on board with the series, that makes me all the more motivated to be like, yeah, I'll continue to support it. Hate how in Goko acts like Koko was the coolest and best guy out there. For real! Everybody was like, oh my god, Koko. And I was like, oh my god, Koko. The worst. Alright, we have Chiffon for Fresh Precure. I liked Chiffon. I found... Oh god, I don't even remember if Chiffon was assigned a gender. I'm gonna go with they for the moment. I found them pretty annoying. Like, this was, like, one of the first babies in the franchise, and I was like, Chiffon is kind of just annoying in there, and didn't contribute much. But I'm also not typically a big fan of the baby characters, I'm not gonna lie to you. The baby characters were not my favorite, but I don't, like, hate Chiffon, I just don't really feel like they contributed much to the story. Now Tart! I love Tart. Tart's going up in the donut tier. Tart was fantastic. Like, it was nice to just have I kind of like when the fairies are, like, sassy. I like when they're sassy and they tell it how it is. Because, like, you can always have your little Cosmo and Wanda moment where the fairies are very parental and helpful and stuff. But if a fairy can, like, you know, smack talk a little bit, they're a little bit more fun. I think when they're a little bit more sassy, they can be a fun time. And I really liked Tart. Tart was one of, like, the funniest ones, and I don't know if we've ever really experienced quite the same energy we had with Tart. I think close to Tart would be, like, Poons. Chiffon is meant to me. I don't care about her. The whole Chiffon possessed by, I don't remember what. Like, the plot twist with Chiffon, I will say, was interesting to me. I didn't see that coming, but also I was a child and everything surprised me. I was surprised by Cure Sunshine being a cure. Like, I was like, I can't believe this happened. This is such a surprise. Tart is the goat, though. Tart's the goat. Imagine 3 characters being in love with Coco at the same time on screen, 2 of them being very envious of each other. I suffered in those episodes. Yeah, that's just, like, any sort of jealousy plotline where it's just aggravating and it's preventing the story from going forward makes me mad. Like, I don't mind a character dealing with jealousy and it being, like, a comedic thing, but when they were actually causing problems and we are spending more than, like, 12 seconds watching them be jealous, I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I hate it. But I feel like, writing-wise, I grew up with a childhood where, like, having a very irritating, jealous character was a staple. And I think I just got so oversaturated within my childhood that, like, when they started to not do it anymore, like, everybody's, like, a friend, and even, like, love rivals are so much more respectful now. I'm like, now we're getting too nice. Like, back in my day, we had Peach Girl. We had Sai. She was psychotic. Now people are like, oh, the guy I like loves somebody else, but I have to let him be. I won't even fight for my feelings. I was like, okay, then don't be on screen. The King Tart, he's fantastic. Tart makes me laugh a lot. I like his distinct voice. It's true, he's probably one of the most distinct voices in the franchise. The second episode when Tart appears is the first time in Love's Room. Oh, I didn't... Fun fact. Chiffon, aka the OG baby, sell baby doll toys. Yeah, I think just... I'm not gonna go on my baby rant, but I've never been a fan of, like, the whole baby doll pushing and everything. It's not for me. Oh, did Tart's voice actor pass away as well? So sad. So sad. Parasol world, no parallel world. Never forget. Talking ferret. Yeah, the ferret. I think ferret was also really interesting. I don't know how common ferrets are as pets in Japan. But ferrets are quite interesting. It's a quite interesting one. I think it's super unique. I love Tart. Love Tart a lot. Now, Tart's fiance, girl, I don't remember her, but she has a cute design. I'll put you in sugar, since we just don't have anybody there. Again, don't remember anything about her. I guess he had a love interest. That existed, I suppose. Things I don't remember from so long ago. Tart, Harry, and Prince are all the same WhatsApp group of single fathers. Sad but true. Let's get into Heartcatch. Bum 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 bum. Heartcatch is gonna be hard because we're gonna get into some sad fairies. Okay, I have to remember how to pronounce it. So I do remember their names. They're just weird. I don't know. I say weird. I should be nicer. I don't know if it's because these are like French words, like Chiffade and Kofade. Yeah, Chiffade and Kofade. Don't know how we're supposed to pronounce those two words normally, because I know that they're not Japanese words, but I don't know what they mean. They're like, we're gonna use some fancy words, and I don't know what they mean. Chiffade, I don't remember, like, she just kind of was nice. She was just a nice character. I don't remember her being very distinct. Kofade fought with Erika a lot, so that really put him up there. He was, like, constantly being like, girl, you're doing things you ought not to be doing. And I was like, at least somebody's gonna tell it. Someone's gonna call her out. Everybody else was like, no, Erika. And he's like, the one episode where the two of them fought, I thought was really good for character development. I think it was good for character development. How are we ranking Kodun? He's using... I'm gonna cry when we get to Kodun. I'm gonna cry a little bit. All Heartcatch fairies are mid. No! That's fair, though. She wasn't bad. She just didn't have a lot of personality. Yeah. Yeah. I do like Heartcatch, but the fairies were not strong point of the series. I think it depended on the fairy, because I definitely think Chiffade and Kofade were a little bit more forgettable. But we're getting to my favorite fairy. Let's go. Popody. I actually know what that word is. I love Popody with every ounce of my soul. Popody, like, Popody is the perfect balance that I think the series struck with having a baby-ish fairy, but they're not just straight up a baby. I love Popody. Because Popody was just mature enough to not be, like, crying all the time, and she was just, like, she's a little girl in a brand new world, and she gets a family, and we take care of her. Popody was a little bit annoying, but you get used to it. Yeah, she's one of the ones that gets character development. It's all about that character development. She's absolutely intolerable initially. She's very whiny and fussy, but, like, you have the episode where, why am I blanking? Yuri talks to her and is like, hey girl, hey. Hey girl, hey. Where she, in a very decent way, is like, hey, you gotta behave, but also, like, Itsuki's gotta step up, and it was an interesting episode. But I love Popody. And Popody and Itsuki is probably easily my favorite relationship between, like, not relationship, but, like, a dynamic between a fairy and a cure. It's very sweet, very wholesome. I love them a lot. I love them so much. Popody is so funny when she's trying to find the third cure. Facts. When I was a kid, I preferred fashion dolls, you know, Barbie, Bratz, Monster High, etc. But when I found human baby dolls creepy, but not animal baby dolls. Yeah, I think, like, animal, like, when you make it more of an animal and you have it more like a pet, it's a little bit better than sitting there being like a whole child. Here is a whole child you now must take care of. Yeah, I was definitely more of an American Girl doll girl and not a baby doll girl growing up. Fun fact, there was a French dub of the Heartcatch movie, It's Lost Media. Dude, we gotta unlose that. That sounds so cool. Like, as much as French, the language, is my biggest enemy, listening to people speak French is pretty cool. This sounds nice. I'm going through Heartcatch in a watch party, core at a time, and well, I wish they got the flower seeds in a different way. Are we talking about the poop thing? Are we talking about the fairy poop thing that they made a choice about? They had a weird thing with butts that season, and I'm not quite sure what, like, I don't know. What's that one series that's, like, the butt kid? That's, like, really popular, and everybody really liked butt humor for a while. That's what I feel like this is. Is it Crayon Shin-chan is the one where he's like, butts are super cool? And that was, like, the big child humor. It's a choice. She's like a golden retriever, to be honest. Exactly! Somebody gets it. Somebody gets it. Tsubomi, Cure Blossom, my favorite. She's a great cure. I agree, I love Popody. Popody is smart too, switching to a doll in the drawer to fool Tsubomi and Shifune when they left to talk to Itsuki without... She's just great. She's just great. Tsubomi is kind of... Yes, Tsubomi is absolutely one of my favorite cures ever. I just don't like... I like the fact that we had a shy cure who went through a lot of development to be a bit more brave. And she's also just sweet. The poop thing was something that never happened. Actually, I don't know what you're all talking about. Right. Alright, Colon. Colin! Ah! Or Cologne, I suppose, is technically the proper. Cologne. He had all the 5 seconds of screen time. And it put him up there. He's fantastic. I'm not going to say much more because apparently people have not seen Heartcatch and I don't want to spoil it in the middle of their watch. But he's great. Moving on to Kope-sama. Good old Kope-sama. This is another one where I have no idea what that word means, but I'm pretty sure it's French. Welcome! Thank you for becoming a magical... I need to change the font so I can read these better. But thank you for becoming a magical today. The only French I know is which is in French. Tsubomi is lucky to have met Erika and she adores her cure forms. And she's a fashion artist. Truth. Tsubomi is best girl. Erika is cool too. We love her as well. Colin. Cologne. Kope-sama, I love Kope-sama. Kope-sama is another good one, but like I can't even elaborate. Kope is one of those ones where we're just like we love Kope, but we don't explain. We just like we like Kope. Kope's up there. And now we gotta talk about Hummy. I almost was excited, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna say the things I'm going to say, and people are gonna hate me. This is gonna be the hot take section of the video. I'm gonna say that a couple times actually. I found Hummy really annoying. And I didn't want to find Hummy annoying because she's a cat. She's a cute little cat. But honestly, she was just like... She was annoying in the way that I feel like they fixed. I'm really off topic here. She's like My Melody, but My Melody's significantly better. Because like, I would say that like, Hummy and Seirin's relationship is very similar to like My Melody and Kuromi. But they are so much better. Or Kuromi. They're so much better. Hummy was really annoying to me. And she just never had a moment where she fully understood what she was doing and the consequences of her actions. And that bothered me. I was like, people are trying to communicate with you. And she's like, I'm Hummy. I have no brain cells. So I didn't really like Hummy. I didn't really like Hummy that much. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, because I think Hummy is one of the most beloved fairies in the franchise. Oh no, I feel bad for Tsubomi losing another love interest, and Kope-sama reveals he's a mysterious dude all mood. It doesn't help that Cologne's voice is Akira Ishida, who has a history of voicing a character who passed. Oh, the curse. Kope-sama is a lifestyle and experience moment in time for real. Kope-sama and Itsuki's Tsubomi. I can relate to Tsubomi a bit when losing someone you're having a crush on. Dirt girl, her attempts to have crushes. To be fair, she didn't have to give up with Itsuki. She could have just stayed in love. Like, you loved Itsuki for her, not for like what she was. Hummy is voiced by Sailor... I actually did not know that. I did not know that. That's crazy. That makes sense, too. That makes a little sense. I really like Hummy. She was one middle brain cell, and she was trying her best to exist in Deep. I forever love her. I was like, and people do love her. People absolutely love her. Hummy, the predecessor of Puridoon. See, I'm somebody who's like, Puridoon feels like an improvement on Hummy, because when things get intense, Puridoon does get somewhat serious. Hummy, I don't remember ever really getting for real serious. She just was always in the clouds. Bless her heart, she was always in the clouds. Seirin, on the other hand, love her. Whoops, not that high. But I do love her. I love her a lot. I've really felt for her. And like, her trying to explain how she was hurt and her whole plot line, she's just fantastic. I genuinely don't think we've had a villain that turned Cure go as deep as Seirin, because she was raw and real. A lot of every other Cure that has been evil and then turned good has been more on the, like, they were manipulated, dark magic and stuff. Seirin, I feel like, even compared to Passion, I think she was just genuinely somebody who was evil, and her being evil made sense. Because obviously Passion was just, like, raised to be evil, and then was like, I don't want to be evil anymore. Seirin chose to be evil and had to choose to be good. And I really like that a lot. Hummy is kind of annoying indeed. I'm so sorry too. Ellen is better and more reasonable. She has a cute weakness and she overcomes it a bit. That's for me. I like characters with more development. I think that's probably my feeling on that. Ellen has a great character development. Absolutely. What if Hummy meets My Melody? Honestly, they'd just be staring in a mirror. There would be two characters and nothing would be said. It'd be so head empty. It'd be such a head empty moment. But to be fair, also, Hummy likes food. My Melody likes baking. It would be a match kind of made in heaven for the two of them. I don't remember what she said, but she triggered Seirin's transformation into Bee. There was something along those lines. They did have her, like, obviously Hummy played a big part in it, but I don't love the writing for that too much. Because it felt like Seirin was really trying to express, like, why she felt jealous and everything, and Hummy's just, like, kept being like, I love you, and I was like, okay, but you're not listening to what she's saying to you. But that's 100% a personal nitpick on my part. I'm, like, super picky about stuff like that. But either way, I'm glad that it worked out in the end. I kind of wish they did more with Kurudun. Like, if she became a Cure, she would be, like, Imiru instead of struggling and trying to talk. We will get to that. We will get to Kurudun. Let's see. Setsuna from Fresh, I love her too. She has a sad past and a great development. She definitely has great development. It's just different, in my opinion. I missed milk and syrup. You did miss the, like, milk and syrup, but feel free to ask questions. We can always go back and we can rant a little bit more because we spent a lot of time on that. But welcome in, Kami-chan. How are you today? Now, when it comes to, what are these? The tones? What was the, like, proper term? I need to update which wiki I'm looking at. Sweet Precure. Because I honestly said negatone, but that's incorrect. They're the something tones. Fairy tones. Of course, they're the fairy tones. I remember none of them. Except for the one that, the Cure Muse had. She had the one that was, like, actually useful. The purpley one. Which, what would that be? Like, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. I guess it's just do. Yeah, dodori. Dodori. The only one that mattered was the purple one. The purple one was fantastic. She was, like, very supportive and, like, was there when no one else was for Miss Muse and her sad tea and backstory. So, if we're going off Miss Purple carrying the group, I'll put her up in Brownie. I'll put her up in Brownie because, like, girl, the rest of them are so unforgettable. Or so forgettable. Not unforgettable. Did we talk about how cute Syrup and Urara? Absolutely. They're the best part. They're the absolute best part. We are big Urara and Syrup fans in this chat. We support them. They are fantastic. Absolutely love those two to bits. That's why, one of the reasons why Syrup is way up there. One of the reasons. Alright, we're on to Smile with Candy. I do love that they have the villain fairies here, but they don't have the villain fairies for, like, a couple of the other seasons, which is very interesting. Candy was great. I liked Candy. Like, I think Candy was kind of an improvement on Hummy for me. I liked her a lot, and I liked her contributions towards the end of the season. I liked Candy. I don't remember, like, having any beef with her. I just remember her being decent. I remember enjoying her. I remember her being sad sometimes. So I think she had more character depth than most. I liked Candy. I liked Candy. She was nice. The only thing about them are the transformations. That's what I thought. I was like, the fairy tones do, like, nothing. But Dodori wasn't in any attack with Muse. It was only CD. Interesting. I don't remember, but very nice. The yellow tone episode is funny. See, this is the things. We're gonna eventually get to a point where I remember stuff. The fairy tones were fun for what I remember. Some of the episodes, they were chaotic. There was one episode, but I don't think it was with the fairy tones. I think it was with them trying to get notes, where they had the silly one where they had to catch notes, and that's the one where Akko has like the really tall boots. It's like all I remember. The villains were trying to catch her because she has the last note or something. That sounds vaguely familiar. Candy is funny, but smarter than Hummy if you ask me, but the episode where she switched bodies with Miyuki is irritating. I feel like body swap episodes are such a hit and miss, and it depends on who gets swapped. Wasn't Candy, when Candy wasn't being annoying, she was a great character. Fair enough. She was voiced Pikachu! That's perfect. She's all the mascots. I mean, if you've done Pikachu, you're the final boss of mascots. We all had the same thought. When I was young, I thought Candy was annoying, but I like her now. I think just because Hummy was so annoying to me that it was like, it's the same thing that happened with Parun, where I'm like, you add a more annoying character and instantly you're better. Instantly you're better because somebody sucked a little bit more. Pop, I remember liking. I remember liking Pop. He just should have been there full time. I remember it being like kind of offensive that he was only there for a few episodes because when he showed up, he was sweet. He was a sweet little guy. I'm trying to remember. So are these the villains? These are the main villains, right? Because there were also villains in the movie that were fairies as well. I think these are the main ones because that looks like Wolfadun and the Oni guy. I think that's them. I mean, these are, it's hard to rate them as just fairies because they're pretty solid villains. Like, a lot of stuff aside, I think the season had good villains. Like, they're very memorable, in my opinion. I will put them up in, like, Cookie with Icing. I think they were solid villains, but it's interesting. Candy is funny and had her good moments. Probably one of the fairies with more connection to the plot, and that's why people love her. That's probably that's a good reasoning too. I think that might be one of the reasons why I liked her. I think Candy's alright. She's cute. A stuffed lamb in the glitter floor stuff. I guess she technically, this is one of those things where I never think about what the fairies are supposed to be unless it's really obvious. And I was like, I guess she is a little lamb, isn't she? Is it me or I thought Candy's hair looked like scrambled eggs? They do got scrambled egg vibes. You're so right. I'm not a lamb. Controversial opinion, maybe. I like Pop more than Candy. I think Pop, if you're not into super, like, Genki annoying characters, Pop is probably, like, he's the level-headed big brother who's trying to take care of her. So I do think, in this case of liking more responsible people, you'll probably like Pop more. I kind of wish that Precure could put into fairies, becoming Precure, and do something else rather than doing it all the time. So do you mean that you want them to be just fairies, or you want them to be fairies that turn into cures? Pop was cool, but I hated how he disappears the whole season and comes back for 2 episodes. Yeah, he had so much potential. I think there was one episode where they went to, like, Kyoto or something, and he, like, had his traditional wear, or maybe they were on a movie set, I'm trying to remember, and he was, like, one of the few episodes where we really got a lot of Pop, and I was like, why is he not here all the time? Dokidoki Precure is cool. Yeah, let's get to Dokidoki. Dokidoki's fairies I'm gonna have to remember because they're all references to playing cards. Dokidoki fairies. Alright, I do remember them trying a little bit harder with having the characters be memorable, but some of them aren't. Shaduru. I don't remember her being super memorable, but I don't remember her being a problem, so she'll probably just go in health bar. If I remember that next one, dude. Alright. Raquel from Barbie! I'm trying to remember what his... Rakudu? How we would pronounce that in Japanese. I loved him. He was great. I liked him a lot. He goes up. I remember him contributing. Specifically with Cure Diamond's plotline. I remember him being a little bit more relevant, and he cared about her, and he just made himself more present. Lance was just kind of there. Lance was another character that was just around. So put you there. Now your name begins with like a D. What was your name? You're the one who's the manager. God, what's your name? I loved you. God, what was your name? Oh my god. Cure Sword. What was your mascot's name? Oh my god. Unless somebody by chat. Dabi. 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 Dabi? Dabi? Dabi. Dabi. People are spelling it 5 different ways over here. Dabi, you were fantastic. You're a fantastic fairy. Actually, I might put you a little higher. She was fantastic. She was like one of the few times that I think we got a fairy that turns into a full-grown adult and actually feels like an adult. And she was like a manager. She was very supportive to Sword. I really, really liked her. She was fantastic. All right, let me catch up. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba ba ba. The fairies of Dokidoki are cool. I like Shadadu, especially in the episode where she wanted to turn into a human and help Mana. I don't remember. See, this is the problem is I don't remember some of these episodes. I just remember the episodes where they all get human forms and they help out. What was Diamond's name? Was she Rika? This is the problem. The fact that I'm forgetting all this is terrible. If Pop was had more screen time, he could easily be one of my favorite fairies of all time, but well, not everything can be great. Fair. When I was young, I thought Candy was a hybrid of a bunny and a cocker spaniel. I can see it. I can see it. Fairies into humans is awesome. To see Laura become the very first cure that is a mermaid instead of a fairy. Oh, I see, like the non-fairy, but like non-human characters. If I'm getting that right. I kind of wish they did a different way for mid-season cures to become something else rather than just fairies and villains. Maybe like a mysterious girl. Yeah, I feel like whenever they try to experiment with doing something unique, they keep flopping, and I feel like they just need to do better. Because, like, I feel like Earth and Ace are examples of, like, not fantastic uses of, like, non-villainous or fairy characters that come in, but the execution was bad. My favorite one is Raquel. But the overall were great, except for Ai-chan. We'll get to Ai-chan. Lance was funny. Shout out to the scene of Rosetta making appear a giant lance in the episode. I do remember that. I do remember a giant lance. I like Dokidoki, not the dub though, and the novel fixed Cure Ace and gave what we wanted with Regina. See, this is why I gotta read the novel too. I've been hesitant because Cure Joker scares me a little bit. Shout out to voice actress sounded familiar, and I found out she voiced Perona in One Piece. Interesting. Davi, thank you guys for coming in to help me figure out Davi's name. Why is Hummy so low? I'm sorry, Melly. I'm not a Hummy fan. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Davi Sensei Shadadu called her. That's right. Davi is the most mature. She honestly do be the most mature. Ai-chan disturbs me. I feel like they could kill anything in status. I like Davi too. Hear me out, Tanaka and Davi. This is the ship we need. Finally someone understands. I ship it. This is perfect. I need them to interact, in fact. All Stars movie, get on it immediately. I really dislike that Glitter Force has cut so many cool episodes, shortening the series. So I watched the original Japanese dub. See, I knew that they like butchered up Smile. I have no idea how much chopping they did for Dokidoki. Honestly, a lot of blue cures have way too similar designs when it comes to civilian forms. Facts. That's such a fact, though. What if all the Precure fairies meet every other magical girl boy mascots? That'd be interesting. It'd be interesting. We need to have like an all-star. Alright. Ai-chan. No. I hate Ai-chan. Like, she's probably the worst baby. Like, I do not like the baby characters most of the time. She's probably the worst. Like, she's just a genuine baby. I remember her crying a lot. I remember her never being able to actually articulate anything. Like, at least when they get to, like, hug time, they like, try to give her a bit more of a personality. This is a lump. This is a lump in the series. That they literally have to be like, and we're going to teach you how to feed a baby. Not something middle school students should be learning how to do. Not something that they can be doing with their time. Teach them something useful. Not whatever the heck that was. I don't like Mana's dub voice. It sounds too much like Jimmy Neutron. That's very distracting. I feel like I've heard that. I feel like I know what you're talking about. Because I have heard a bit of the dub before. And I think you're right. I'm not going to lie. The episode where the Dokidoki girls get their second group attack was cut from Glitter Force. If we can even call that a second group attack. That's annoying. Why would they cut that? Smile Precure lost 12 episodes when being turned into Glitter Force. I knew that. Like, the cropping they did in Smile, I was like, why did you waste the money to do that? It takes so much more effort. I hate her. Sorry, not sorry. Girl, we be all hating her. Poor Smile Precure. Oh my goodness. Smile was chopped 8 episodes. Doki, they chopped 19! How could you chop that much? Girl, I don't remember there being much filler to be chopping. I don't have problems with the baby being a baby, just wish they did more with her. Yeah, like, not only here is she a baby, and I hate babies in series that are about children, but also, she's the worst baby because she does nothing. She is just a lump. Anyways, happiness charge break here. Alright, let me remember their names for happiness charge. We're gonna get to a point where I don't have to look up the names, I promise. Okay. Girl, I did not remember her name being Ribbon at all. Dude, I think the fairies, at least the early fairies in this, were, from what I remember, really forgettable. Ribbon is super like, I'm almost tempted to put her in New Phone Who Dis because I don't remember her at all. But I feel like respectfully I have to put her in Just Sugar. Who is Ribbon? I don't remember at all. Who is this? Who is this character? Oh my god. Dokidoki was unfairly treated in the English dub. Could have been better if they did all those episodes. Interesting. Again, Regina should have been a cure. Facts. Facts. Regina kind of became a cure in the novel, which is what scares me with what they did decide to do. That made me so happy. I'm glad somebody's feeling peace for Regina. As somebody who does have to be a Regina truther. I did like Regina. Ribbon was alright, but Glass Sun was very funny. I remember Glass Sun. I do remember Glass Sun, because, it's a he, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Glass Sun was the one that hung out with Fortune. I remember liking you. Put you up there with Dobby. Purple fairies, honestly, are kind of slaying. They're doing pretty good. Who is this? I think I know who this is. I don't. Who is this? Who's the orange one? Who you? Who's this orange fairy? Oh, this is the Aloha Precure fairy, isn't it? That's what you have to be. Am I crazy? This has to be the Aloha Precure fairy. Do they have a name for I'm looking it up. Aloha Precure. They had a fairy? Did they have a fairy? They don't even have a fruit fairy. If this is a fairy, it's not listed. Who is this? Who are you? Who is this? This is the ultimate challenge of me being a fake fan right now. Who is this? Still today, I don't know what happiness charge is about. It's a goofy, silly season, I'll say that. If Glitter Force was its own thing, Precure fans wouldn't hate it. Potentially, yeah. Happiness Charge has good characters, but some good episodes, but it's not among my favorites in the franchise. I feel like that's typically the vibe. It's the fairy for the Alola Precures. Why are the Alola fairy and Fanfan here? Like, Fanfan makes a little bit of sense. They've kind of been sneaking in the villain fairies occasionally, but like, who is the Alola Precure? Who is this? I wish Netflix did a better job and actually call it Precure. I think that was a Saban thing, because wasn't Saban the one who did Glitter Force dub? And then they just put it on Netflix? Me too. Why change Precure to Glitter Force? I vaguely understand doing Precure to Glitter Force because, like, English-wise, Precure is a weird name. Like, I remember when I first got to Precure when I was a kid, I was like, but like, they're using the word cure very weirdly from an English context. And they don't actually, like, not until later seasons do they actually heal people. Most of the time, they did a lot of murder early on in the franchise. Nowadays, Precure makes sense. Back in the day, it did not. I was like, they're not curing anything. They're just killing all the villains. Very violently. So, like, Glitter Force I don't think is the worst name. Like, I don't mind localization to some degree, but sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's bad and it was good the way it was before. Imitating Power Rangers or something? Yeah, I think it's, like, the Saban way to heavily, heavily localized stuff, which again, it makes sense in some contexts. And I definitely think for kid shows, kids are like very adverse to doing something they don't understand. So if it makes a little bit of sense more for children, it works, which I think is fine because it's for kids. But I think there's also, again, some of the translations don't make, I don't know the logic on that. Happiness charge, if I don't have anything nice to say, I won't say it all. Aw. Yes, Alpha Precure did have a dairy. Don't say that, you're a true Precure fan. Alola did have a fairy. Okay, sorry. We forget something sometimes. Fun plot twist was insane to me. I love Happiness Charge because they're always doing insane things. That's why, okay, so who new phone who dis gonna go down there. Fun I did like. I think he probably needed more time being a fairy because they're like, plot twist, he's a fairy. And I was like, that's crazy. And then like they kind of made him Honey's fairy for like 5 seconds before the series ended. I think he just needed more time to like cook as a fairy. I feel like they did a lot of plot things later than they should have. I think they could have like, you know, cut out that love square nonsense and done the plot a little bit earlier. But that's just me. Sobbing. Then just change Precure to Precure and at least give it some credit. Yeah, I think nowadays, especially with the way Toei is, and that they've taken the rights away from Saban, which is one of the reasons why it's not on Netflix anymore. I assume that when Precure gets imported next, which looks like they're revving up to do, and they're soft launching too with the Sunday streams or the weekend streams they've been doing. I think they're just gonna call it Precure, which is fair enough. Like Precure or Precure is fine. Technically speaking, every English logo is made for every season, and it is Pretty Cure and not Precure. Precure is just the Japanese shorthand. I wish I wish Aloha Precure did a crossover with Tropical Rouge. That would have been good. Have some actual tropical cures in the tropical season. I wish they turned him into a fairy in the Cure on Lovely episode. That would have made more sense, honestly. I think we needed more Mirage and fun scenes. Facts. The gray fairy next to the orange fairy is ugly. I don't like the idea of a gray fairy. Or I like the idea of a gray fairy, but this is not it. Yeah, well, I mean, he's just like a gray version of everybody else. See, they didn't have much difference in the designs for the season. Pafu and Aroma. I love Pafu. She's great. She goes up there. Roma is another one that's great. Why am I forgetting the teacher's name? Why am I forgetting the teacher's name? Oh, it's like Sha. Why did I put GoPro? That's not the one I'm looking up. You're not Shamala. What's your name? Not me making up names in here. Shamur. Also fantastic. These three are absolutely great. Like, honestly, just having a supportive, like, dog fairy who doesn't, like, her presence in the series is not, like, the series doesn't revolve around her, but when she's on screen, she's just a nice dog. Roma's, sassy. He's super cute, super sassy, fun characters in addition. Like, all of them, I feel like none of them dominate the story in any way, the way other fairies are, like, very relevant to the story, but all of them are, like, nice accents. All of them are just, like, nice, refreshing characters in the story. I like all of them. I like, honestly, they're all very enjoyable. I love Go Princess. Before I go, I want to say that Pafu and Aroma are adorable and cute, very good friends to the Cures, and more like animals this time. Facts. I hope a company like Discotech Media releases the franchise on Blu-ray over here. That'd be nice. They've been really good at getting a lot of backlist titles. I know that the problem with Precure is that Toei is very stingy about the license, and they have not been willing to hand it out to, like, anybody. Like, honestly, it's been an arm and a leg just to get Precure on Crunchyroll as is, and we don't have all of it yet. So I hope that they'll be willing to do something like Discotech Media, but they seem to go for bigger fish if they're going to hand the license to anybody, which is not always the best, because we saw what happened with Saban. A parrot is talking. Wait, parrots can talk, I guess. Priceless. Pafu and Aroma are my children. I love them. Mishamura. Yeah, Mishamura is a cool teacher. She, like, another example of a really good, like, mature fairy who also manages to feel like, she feels like the same character between her fairy form and her human form, and I feel like that's something that we lose in a lot of fairies that do have, like, full-time human forms. I feel like she manages to keep the same energy for both forms, which is nice, and I feel like it's harder to pull off. Puff who could talk and also fly. Fun fact, this Glitter Force was meant to be aired on Nickelodeon, but due to Digimon Fusion low ratings, Nickelodeon preferred a male protagonist in the show, and it went to Netflix. That sounds about Nickelodeon making the worst decisions they possibly can. I asked Discotech about considering Shugokara this year at their booth. Ooh, that's great. I mean, that's one of the things you can do too, is you can email or talk to these companies in person, and request stuff. And some of them, if they get back to you, they're very transparent. Like, I think a lot of people emailed Crunchyroll before Precure was on it and asked them, and they said, we're in discussions with Toei and we'll see what happens. So some of them will be straight up transparent with you, which is kind of nice. I love the part when Pafu and Aroma tells the truth to Yui about Haruka and what she's been doing as a cure, and she decides to help him. Yeah, again, Yui's another fantastic character, and her integration with them, like, again, the fairies are just helpful. Like, the worst kind of fairy to me is somebody who hinders the series from progressing, and the best is somebody who helps it move forward when we need we need a little bit of a push, or we need to fill in a gap. Now this little guy, I just remember him being one of the villains that, like, was actually a fairy, but he wasn't the villain. It was like his jacket was evil. I gotta remember who you are. Okay, let's see. Episode 3, given leader status. Okay, so you are Locke, maybe. Cause, like, one of the characters was like his jacket was actually the evil one, and then he's not the fairy. Like, the fairy was separate from the evil jacket, which is just sounds insane the way I'm saying this. Okay, so yeah. He was... Okay, so his name is Kurodo. He's a calico cat, and he was brainwashed and became Locke. I don't know what the name of the jacket was, though. The evil jacket. The evil hoodie he was wearing. Ah! I sound like a crazy person trying to explain this. Oh my god. Yeah, just being nice about it and loud for your faves is helpful. Exactly. Like, you definitely want to put it on their radar, and I do respect that. Like, you know, we all say it respectfully. Yui and Sango look so alike. I really wish... Oh, that would be such a cute crossover, too. Or have Viz Media release Precure on US. I think that's more likely to happen, but I have to check the history of the licensing between the two companies, because is Viz the one that's been doing Sailor Moon, right? I love Kurodo. He's a cutie patootie. I remember him being sweet. I remember him being like, I'm a victim. Like, that's kind of it. But he was adorable. I enjoyed his presence. I just remembered him just being like the softest boy in the universe. He's like, my evil hoodie. He looked like a reject Beetle Fairy. Like the band. I see it. I see it. Alright, we're gonna get into areas where I'm gonna do so much better, because it's Muffadoon. Easily, boom, Muffadoon. Love Muffadoon. One of the best fairies of all time. Like, at first I was like, she's kind of annoying and a little bit of an airhead. But god, does she not just get better as the series goes on and then peaks in the movie? Like, her role in the movie and the amount of character they went, because at first they were like, she's just supposed to be the mascot character. We just made a teddy bear and we called it a day. It was whatever, you know, we just made her. But then they were like, boom, actually she's gonna have a great personality and she's gonna have such a large role in the movie, and you're not gonna be upset about it because you're like, she's fantastic. She's so good. She just gets better as time goes on. Absolutely, like, revs up to be one of the best fairies of all time. Easily. Easily. Muffadoon the goat. Exactly. Muffu Darada episode. Muffu is so adorable. I like her. Muffu is sweet and friendly. Muffu, Muffu, Muffu. I can't read kanji. Muffu. She has some of the funniest moments, too. Like, she not only is a precious being, but a peak comedian. Peak comedian all the way. Dude, she's such a great fairy. And it was so great to see her again in, Mirai Days. Fantastic. Fantastic. And then, of course, we just straight up have... Just have Hachan. Put a Hachan up there. She's great. Hachan, she's a full character. She's not a fairy. She's a full character. Put her out there. We love our girl. We love our girl. Let's not forget Muffin turns into a cure. Exactly. She's peak. She's just peak. So peak. Shut up, Muffin, for inventing non-binary people. That's too. Oh, shout out. Not shut up. Sorry. That's not as mean as I made it sound. Shout out to Muffin inventing non-binary people for real. The girl who sees the witches and tries to convince she's not crazy. Or seeing things made me nervous every time for the cures. Muffin, I like Muffin. Muffin's queen. Let's not forget that Muffin turns into a cure. Absolutely. We will never forget. Muffin is our Freddy Fazbear. What a crossover that would be. I did the smart thing and showed the movie before Midnight Days. That is a good call. That is absolutely a good call. Like, I forgot, because I was talking about recently, like, top Precure movies. The Mahotsukai movie is also really up there on the list for me. Muffinoon is, like, the reason why I actually, going back, the reason why the movie's so good, too, is because compared to other Precure movies, it's much more canonical. It just really feels like it fits into the franchise properly. Probably Muffin is the most sold fairy ever. Literally, I had a friend who went to the premiere of the You and Idol movie, and she literally was, like, going through the merch, and then she's like, randomly, there's Muffinoon merch here. We don't know why. They're just, like, it had, like, all the fairies and characters from the movie, and then she's like, and then here's Muffinoon over here. Which is so funny. I like her too, Cure Felicia. She's so great. Deep respect for putting nuts above Coco. Absolutely. Listen, I'm Coco's biggest hater. Number one op over here. Hachan's voice actress plays a lot of roles in anime recently. Saori Hayami. That's who she played recently. Cure Felice looks so much like literally she's like a Fluttershy OC, like OC variant. Listen, I can't spell. If you guys ever spell anything wrong in chat, I'll attempt to try to read it for what it is, because I know when I type in chat, it's not English. It's mess. It's mess. Alright, Pequodine. I need some people in chat to explain things, because maybe everybody in chat's normal. But people be hating Pequodine. People hate my queen, Pequodine. She did nothing wrong. Do I think she's the most remarkable fairy? No. But do I think she's just there and is nice? And just, like, is a happy time? Yeah, like, why do people hate Pequodine? Like, looking back, people have the biggest vendetta against Pequodine, and I don't understand why. I need an explanation. I need explanations in the chat. Why do we hate Pequodine? You get a quarter whenever a human girl goes to the magic realm as a beautiful connection with purple hair, which you'd have 2 quarters. Facts. I don't care for Pequodine. What happened? What did she do? Why do we hate her? Don't we all hate Coco? Welcome to the Coco Hate Club. He's just mean, and for what? And for what? Go back to the skate park and do your little ollie. She's Yor from Spy Family. That's crazy. That's some range. Girl's got some range. Oh my god, Cure Wings VA. I forget his name. He's in everything, because he was Venti and Genshin and some other stuff. He's got range. Cure Wings voice actor is pretty remarkable. I think he even started his own, like, recording company at one point. A lot of people don't like Pequodine because she stole Rio's spotlight. That's interesting. That's one of the reasons why people maybe don't like her, because, like, I might as well go ahead. CL I like. And then I love Picario. I love, like, these two, I love them. I think Picario definitely needed more screen time, but I never felt like Pequodine stole it. Maybe that was just me and I didn't notice. But, like, as somebody who was like, Rio needs more, Picario needs more time, I never felt like you were eating it. CL maybe. CL was definitely like, I'm a cure. But I got nothing, like, Pequodine I didn't have any beef with. So Alexis likes Muffadoon over Parfait. That's fair. That's fair. Da-da-da-da-da. I don't hate her. She's just there. Maybe I don't care for Kira in general. That's fair. That's totally fair. He's also... Hinata and Haikyuu. Yeah. I heard he likes Cure Flora. We all be liking Cure Flora. Picario is super fun. Yeah, I definitely think that this should have been our first male cure, to be completely honest. Like, never has there been a character that genuinely was like, my dream is to become a cure, and I was like, and then your dream is to become a cure. You should be a cure. It's all you've ever wanted, little guy. Oh my god, yeah, I think the director named him Cure Waffle on Twitter after a bit of time passed. But his 12 seconds of being on screen is disrespectful. He should have stayed there. I was upset about that. But I also don't feel like CL, like, she took some of the time, but I don't feel like they made her too nefarious. But I definitely feel like he deserved more love. I also thought it was super awkward when his identity was revealed to the whole town. They're like, we hate that kid. He caused so many problems when he was evil. And I was like, why did we tell the town he was who he was? That was a weird thing to do in the writing. We forgot to say that to Mofu in a hot chat. So true. So true. I don't know about Pequodine, but I remember she was embarrassed when she was inhuman and gets hungry. I remember being a hungry little hippo. But also her, like, cured donut form was cute. I liked her. Is it me or I thought that Rio was from the movie Rio? Bring in the parrots. Bring in the parrots. Okay, I don't have any clue how to pronounce this dude's name. There's a lot of vowels. Is it Shoru? Girl, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He was funny. He didn't do much, but he was funny. I think he was way more funny at the beginning of the season. This is like I said, Kira had too many characters that he really ought to not have been in the show because, like, there was just too many characters. He, like, had no presence, if I remember, for the second half of the show. He was funny in the first half, and then he was gone for the second half. CL is voiced by Inori Minase. Ah. Two different things about Rio. I like Picario and CL in the season against all the other fairies. They're just alright. Fair enough, fair enough. And then we talked about this already. I don't understand these guys were not characters. They're not even listed as fairies. Are we just referring to them as the, crystal animals? That's what it says here. Y'all don't say anything. Why are you on this tier list? I'm putting you in new photo disc just because I'm like, you don't do anything. How am I supposed to rate you when you guys are just there? I also shipped Rio and Ichika. I shipped Rio and Ichika back in the day, and they just stopped having interactions once he, like, turned good, and that really hurt my feelings because I thought they would have been a cute couple. I was very attached to him, and then when he, like, quote-unquote died, I was like, no, he coming back. He just sitting in the mountain and taking a little nap. Let's bring him back. I liked him a lot. They focused more on his sistership with CL, so those two ended up spending a lot of time, but I was like, I liked him turning good with Ichika's interference because, like, he didn't turn good just because CL was there and being like, I love you, brother, we're besties, you know, us against the world, and he's like, you don't understand me. Like, I feel like the interaction between CL and Picario is what I wanted to be the interaction for Hami and Seiden. I think they handled it better there, where, like, he's like, you're not listening to me, you're not understanding what I'm saying, and Ichika had to come in and, like, interfere and really, like, convey what needed to be conveyed between the two of them as a mediator, and I feel like that worked better. These thingies are so weird. They're just, I was like, why did we bother? Like, they're already collectibles. They didn't make plushies of these guys. I don't understand what happened. Shout out to CL and Rio for being Yuri and Yaoi twins. Wild thing to say. Wild thing to say. Alright. Ooh, we're gonna get into I think there's only gonna be a couple more moments in this tier list where I may get hate. But I will stand my ground. I did not care for Hudson. I did not care for Hugton. She should have become Cure tomorrow halfway through the series and she would have been a better character. Her being a baby the whole time. And then they didn't even have a good reason for her to be a baby. There's not a good reason for Ai-chan to be a baby either. There's no good reason for her to be a baby. They, like, went back in time, and if they went back in time to correlate with her reverting back in time, she'd be non-existent. There's no reason. They just wanted a baby in the season. And then this baby, God, the whole series revolved around this dang baby. The whole time. They were like, oh my god, babies! we have an episode about the department store. No. We have an episode about diapers at the department store and all the children's products you can buy at the department store. Oh, something else happened? It's about the baby. We're doing some nope, baby time. Baby time. Yeah, I hate the baby. I hated the baby. She's easily my psyop. I gotta go now, everyone. Bye, Marcos. I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. Take care. I ship CL and Bibidi. That's a valid ship. That's actually a very valid ship. That's so true. Bibidi is great. I love Bibidi. This is the problem, is there's so many good characters in Kira and we just didn't get time with them. But yeah. I love Bibidi. She deserved more screen time. Her like becoming a good guy was peak. Hugtong is very cute. I like what they did with her, even though she's a baby. I like her. People love her. People love what his name is? Hugito. They love Hugito in general. People love their babies. I hate it. I'm glad that someone can love her when I don't. Having Hugto and Coco in the same tier is insane. It's true. I do think we have to make the dirt tier. You're so right though. We can fix this. We can. There is truth to be put in here. They do belong. Not Diddy. There. Boom. I think all is well. Because to be fair, I surely hate Coco more than I hate the babies. If we're being 100% honest, he brought nothing to the table. The babies brought something against my will to the table. Coco brought nothing to the table. You're so true. Hugton is one of the few baby fairies I don't mind. I'm glad that she's met peace with a lot of you guys. She cried. The second that she had an episode where she's crying and they're like, we gotta figure out why the baby's crying, I was like, this is the worst episode in the entire franchise. Burn it. Welcome in, Kier Daifuku. How are you today? I get it. My enjoyment of Ojamajo Doremi took a slight dip in sharp when they went full baby time, but then I think it gets balanced and more nuanced later. Yeah, I've me over here. I have not finished Doremi. It's something I very disrespectfully need to finish. But I'm not looking forward to the baby arc, but I do know it gets better. Oh, Bibidi is voiced by Doremi. That's all these voice actors I do not know. I know nothing about voice actors, so I keep you guys around so you can tell me all who voices what. Puffa would be an S for me. Welcome in, Sakura Uta. She's a good one. I'm not gonna lie. She definitely makes sense to be S tier for people. I love Daifuku and Tsubasa. Choice. We will get to them. Oh, Harry. Harry is hard for me because I vehemently hate Harry and Homare as a ship. And I really hate that they pushed it. But this is like very similar to Kaito, where they keep pushing Kaito with Uta, and it's making me hate Kaito. Where it's like, as a character, well, I take it back. I think I hate Kaito more than I hate Harry. Because I don't think I hate Harry that much. And he is useful in the sense that, like, the one good thing about Harry is that he does all the childcare. Is it really weird that he's changing the diapers of his future wife-girlfriend? Yeah, that's really weird. Another reason why I absolutely hate that part of Hugito. But he at least is the one who does some of the childcare, and we do have moments where the Cures are like, or at least other characters are like, wow, middle school students shouldn't be raising a baby on their own. And I was like, somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say that. So I think I'll put Harry in like just sugar. I think if I remove the Homare plotline from him, he's not bad. He's just kind of a funky character. Oh, put it. Off topic, but are you like a Disney villain when it comes to children? No, my ideology, and I think it's better displayed at the beginning of the Barbie movie, has been like the most accurate way to put it. I actually I do very well with children, and I have a lot of background in childcare. I fervently believe that it's inappropriate for series to push, especially it's always series that target girls and not guys, where they shoehorn in a baby and they're like, yes, 14-year-old child, raise another child. And I'm like, I'm fine with babies if they're in the proper location. I don't like the messaging of like, here are a bunch of baby things because all you little girls need to be moms. All of you need to be like groomed to be parents, which I think is just really weird. I hate it so much. I'm like, give the baby to the full-grown adult in an anime. Like, I don't mind if we have a TV show where somebody is at the right place, right time, and right assets to have a child. I love that. But I just really do not like the concept of just like forcing this babyism into everything and like constantly trying to educate little girls on being adults, because they're not going to do that in Kamen Rider. You don't have Kamen Rider sit there and be like, here's a baby, raise the baby Kamen Rider superstar. They just sit there and they're like, we can punch things and explode things and it's all fun, it's super cool, here's my cool sword, while in the meantime they're like, here's a bottle, go learn how to feed a baby in the middle of my Precure show. And I'm like, this is not what little girls need. But I also know that Japan specifically is a country that has a huge obsession with like childbirth and stuff, and they do realize that if they sit there and try to tell little girls early on that they need to be moms, it will brainwash them into all feeling like they have to be moms. So there's a little bit of like meta politics around it, that the whole very nuanced conversation, but it's always been something that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Kaito and Uta are probably more like a sibling friendship, but if they really try to make it a ship, I'm out of here. It's one of those things where, like, you definitely can either way it. Like, I think what's going to happen, if I had my best guess of what's going to happen with Idol Precure, it's probably going to be the same thing that other seasons have done, with maybe, like, the way we handled, like, Tsubomi and Itsuki, and, like, Ichika and Akira, where I think they're gonna be like, ooh, it's a cute little romance. Like, who loves romance? We're gonna tease you with the idea of romance, but then it's gonna get plot serious, and it's gonna be like, that's not even a ship anymore, and nobody even thinks about it. I think they're just teasing the romance now, but the second we get into Kaito's backstory, I feel like the romance is going to evaporate. There's a slight chance they might push it, and I just don't want them to. Because historically, Precure, up until literally last season, has been like, we just don't do romance. We'll pretend we do romance, we'll dangle it out like a little carrot, and then we'll just like yank it out at the end. Because they did that. They did it for no reason with some ships. Because you had the very first one. We have Futari with Nagisa and Fujipi. And like Max Hart, they're like, I'm not gonna confess to Fujipi, and I'm like, why not? He's an age-appropriate guy who you have an amicable relationship with, who you've worked really hard to get closer with, and you've successfully done it. And then Nagisa's like, I don't want to fall in love with him, and I was like, okay. Like, don't get me wrong, I ship Nagisa and Honoka like nobody's business. However, there was no justification for her to give up on something that she spent way too many episodes trying to, like, foster. I was like, what's up with that? Personally, I never really think Harry and Tamara were a ship. I always think he sees her as like an ideal. The show will disagree, because you had that whole we had the whole episode where Homare goes inside his mind and sees that he literally imagines Tamara in a wedding dress. And she's like, oh, you love Tamara, and that's why you don't want to get with me. And I was like, that's not the real reason why you guys shouldn't be together, but I'll take what I can get. Off topic, do you like do I like Owl House? I'm literally rewatching it this season. I am the biggest Owl House fan in the universe, and I love Amphibia. Amphibia is so underrated. I'm thinking of actually doing an Owl House review for the season, because it's such a fall vibe for me. I love Owl House with every fiber of my being. I gotta play a little bit catch up. Human Meroron looks like Chiyu from Healing Good. That's so true, though. It's kind of true. I kind of wish we had more future cures as mothers, because we only have Yell as a mother. I have a thought in mind. If Laura would have a boyfriend and she would be loyal to her even if she's a mermaid. Interesting. I think I wouldn't mind like cures being moms and having families. Like in Otana, I would not have been upset for like any of them to have family, and like if like Urara and Syrup got together and they had a kid, I'd be fine. That makes sense. That would have been valid. Like, it's just one of those things where I'm like, right time and right place. Future cures, I do think like future cures and stuff being the mothers of other characters is like a fun little plot twist they had, but I wish they had done it better. And also it'd be so cool if they did like the Sailor Moon thing where you have the daughter fight with the mom like alongside one another. That would have been nice. Do you wish we were talking about Vocaloid Kaito? Dude, that would be a whole essay. My Kaito Vocaloid Kaito Such a fun character. He's such a goober. Iroha and Satoru was done so good. Yeah, so, like, that's the problem, is that, like, Iroha and Satoru was done so insanely well, and I really love that plot line, but I feel like it unfortunately has opened the door where they're like, well, we can have Kaito and Uta get together because we got that ship to go together, and I was like, no! Like, slow motion of, like, maybe we should ban romance for Precure. Because I don't want that romance going anywhere, and I need them to stop immediately. The way they let Tsubomi be a hopeless romantic while she gets blocked out by her bestie and reverse grandpa. It was such a wild thing. But also, bye Flower Queen! Facts! Facts. I will always say that my girl is a little bi-angel. But that is my headcanon. Yeah, the Japanese artists can't, like, that's one of the things where I have to, like, kind of pick and choose which artists I follow, and I just mute a lot of the Japanese ones, because they draw some good art, and then you'll see, like, the most putrid thing happening ever with Precure characters, and I was like, why? Like, I think I got Hakuto actually had one of the worst fandom fan arts. I do not recommend digging into that. There was a lot of traumatizing fan art, and I think that's where I did my biggest, like, I went through Twitter and I blocked so many artists just being like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. You will never show that to my eyes again. Yes, 5 would have been better if Coco and Nuts were hear me out. They're already co-ruling a kingdom. It's true. I mean, they are kind of just ruling that kingdom together. They might as well just finish it out. Like, let's be real. Would you say that Luz and Amity is the same as Mirai and Liko in terms of shipping? Kind of. I think Luz and Amity had that more, like, animosity between them initially, at least, like, one-sided with Amity. Whereas I think Liko and Mirai were more friendly, even if, like, Liko was more jealous. But I can see the roadmap here. I can see what's going on. I really have no idea where they're going with Uta and Kaito. I know. I genuinely think it's just a bait and switch, and it's gonna change where, like, the second they start diving into his, like, story, it gets serious. Like, it's no longer every 5 seconds. Uta's like, oh my god, he said something that could very much be taken romantically out of context. I think they're finally gonna switch it into, like, I have a sad TM backstory, and also I'm a fairy. He's gonna be a fairy, let's be for real. He's gonna plot twist this and be a fairy all along. Alright, the Precure romance that would stay is the queer ones if we've had Precure. I do love all the queer ships, which it's wild that this season has, like, some of the best Yuri I've ever seen in my life. Anyways, start Twinkle. It's been a minute. I went down some rabbit holes. Let's see. We have Fua, right? We're at Star Twinkle. I need to remember the names. Fua's interesting because, like, I honestly think they should have Fua, no, like the lamb-esque version of Fua, and then the unicorn Fua, because they're like 2 different characters. Because, like, Fua's first half of the season is so cute and fun and cute and happy, and then Unicorn Fua kind of sucks, but then she goes back to this little, like, lammy Fua at the very end of it, and made my heart hurt more than anything else. Like, Fua at the end of the series was so good, so I don't even know, I guess I rank you in Brownie, because you ended up being so good. You had a bad plotline for no reason when you were Unicorn Fua, but you were such a good one. Oh my goodness. Did you see cursed art on Twitter because Salt tries to, or not DeviantArt. By the time that Hakuto came out, DeviantArt was kind of out the door. It was definitely Twitter back then. I also don't know a lot of Japanese artists on DeviantArt back in the day. But maybe they were more on Pixiv, which I go on Pixiv every so often because, or I don't go there often because Pixiv was, like, weird about always making me log in and would log me out every time I closed it, and it was very annoying. So I didn't spend too much time on Pixiv. Delicious Party with Takumi was done so dirty. Facts. Better things for my boy Takumi. He deserved better. Kaito and Uta from You and Idol Precure, Jinu and Rumi from K-pop Demon Hunters. Don't you dare compare Jinu and Rumi to Kaito and Uta. I love Jinu and Rumi. Ruby, they deserve better. Lamfu is best for facts. Why does the unicorn form remind me of my... It does have MLP energy. And debatably, given when it aired, that might have been an MLP reason why they did it. Lamfu supremacy, exactly. I hate demon art. What does really weird stuff to... Yeah. Yeah, there's some weird stuff. I don't love it. I also hate when they do normalizing Precure. Yeah, there's some weird stuff with Precure, but I also do appreciate that Toei Animation does put their foot down and they're like, don't do that though. This is a show for children. Please behave. Like, I do like that some companies do that, because other companies will be like, do whatever you want to my characters. You can go feral and be whatever. But Toei's like, this is for kids, and I really would prefer kids not stumble upon you being weird, which I think is good, because like as a kid I am absolutely a victim of seeing some weird stuff, but that's a whole other conversation I'm not going to go to on stream. But yeah, that's one thing where I'm like, yeah, we can be kinder to the children. Why wasn't Fua a cure? Good question. Like, we had all those designs for the princesses. You couldn't have popped out like a cute little design for Fua? Another K-pop... Yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters fan, for real. That was so... Dude, I'm such a K-pop Demon Hunters truther. That was so good. I watched that the second it came out, and it's been as good as it should be. I'm so happy. I think they were snubbed for the awards. Golden should have won, but that's okay. We can get them next time. It was too fresh. It was too good. I don't even know who the winner was when I announced them. Puduns. Puduns is god tier. Not quite wedding cake. I'll put him in the donut. But he very similar to Tart, was just like a delight in the show. Like, I would not have guessed that show to have a sassy little guy, but it definitely worked with having a sassy little guy. He truly was the sassiest little thing in the universe. The My Hero Academia fandom is... Yeah, they're pretty bad. I feel like any big fandom, once it reaches a level, gets very cursed. Like, I definitely window watched the Steven Universe fandom, where I would say that, like, the writers and everybody involved with Steven Universe are the sweetest beings in the universe, but they have the most cursed, most toxic fandom. And it sucks. You're like, the nicest series will have some of the worst people on the planet. Or people just want to fight about everything, and it's like, but the show literally is love and peace. Why are we fighting? That's why I'm really scared to touch Steven Universe. Like, I have debated doing a review for Steven Universe and stuff like that, because I think it's such a big series that had some monumental moments, and, like, there's a couple of different animated series that I think have a huge history in the way they've shaped animation, but I'm so scared to talk about my opinions on Steven Universe, because I do think people will actually send me death threats if I say a singular negative thing about anything. Or I praise the wrong character. Fua did have a cute design, but only in the live action, which made... She had a live action? Oh, I guess they, you know, they probably run around with her in the shows, like the live stage plays. Made me very upset. I don't know why she didn't have one in the All-Stars. Oh, she did. That's right. She did have a human form. She did have a one based off her lamb form. Now that I remember it, they had it for one of the live shows. They did art, and there's like one singular art of her in a human form. That's so true. I don't know if it constitutes as a cure form, but definitely had a human form of some kind. Welcome in, Jam Jam! Let's not forget Steven Universe fans. Yeah, Steven Universe fans were very mean, and it always bummed me out, because, like, Rebecca's Sugar is one of the sweetest beings I've ever seen in my life. I find it a little strange that in Kimito Airu, they double down on Puridun and Meroron being sisters, but not... Dude, we'll get to that. We'll get to whatever's going on there. We'll get to... I talked a little bit about it in my today's review for the episode. I was like, it's something. Anyways, let's talk about probably one of the best fairies with some of the best character development ever in the entire universe. My girl Rabadine! Dude, if you had told me that Rabadine was going to be one of my all-time favorite fairies ever, I'd be like, you're lying. You're lying. Like, she's just a little rabbit who's got, like, a camper outfit on. She looks like she's about to go into the woods and, like, tell me how to build a fire. But no. She was peak. She was adorable. She was everything. Like, the Lavendurama episode changed my brain chemistry. I love Rabadine so much. Like, people can say what they want about Healing Good, but Rabadine was so good that she got promoted to Cure Prism. That's how good she was. Absolutely everything. The voice acting. The character itself, the character development, her relationship with Nodoka, it's just so good. Such good. It's just absolute. Yeah, I think Rose Pal mentioned that also Rabbidine's one of her favorites. Which, choice. Absolute taste. I love her. Shadadu could never. The shade. The shade. I love Rabbidine so much. Alright. Peggyton. Peggyton I remember being good. I remember liking Peggyton. He was silly. Like, that one episode where they lost him at, like, the aquarium or something was really funny. I liked Peggyton. He's not a Rabbidine. So I think he's just a brownie, but I liked him. Nyatadan was also silly. The only thing I might demote him to Cookie is because he had that one dumb episode where he fell in love with a random human girl, and I was like, what is happening? Who wrote this episode? This is terrible. Get this out of here. We had episodes lost because of, I think, you were the pandemic victim, if I remember. One's the hack victim, and this is the pandemic victim, I believe. We could have had other episodes. We could have had the rest of Hinata's character development instead of Nyataran falling in love with a random girl. Oh my goodness. Puridun loves... Yeah, Puridun do love her taco sausage. I wish they made a joke in All Stars F with Rabidine and Mashido. They have a moment where they, like, have the two of them look at each other and be like, huh? And that's, like, the most we get, but I was like, they could have made that more funny. Where she's just talking to herself. Rabidine the Pink Bunny. I love her. I'm making an AU of Glam Rock Bunny and Freddy taking care of children and becoming good parents. That's sweet. That's actually kind of cute. Kira and Rabidine having the same voice actor is one of my favorite things. So it's like, this is the one voice actor fact I know of the day. Is that they're both voiced by the same voice actress. Peggyton's VS is also Butter's Japanese VA. Who is which Butter? I'm like, which Butter? I know, like, South Park Butter, but I feel like that's gravely wrong in this situation. If they want a purple Cure, they should swap Fontaine with Earth's colors, because Earth is mostly water. That's what I'd be saying! When I was like, Cure Earth was purple, I was like, okay, but you had the option of being green or blue. Purple doesn't make sense. Healing Good Fairies are low-key underrated. They deserve more recognition. Facts. Now, Latte, on the other hand, I feel like them not letting her talk is like... So it was South Park Butters. That's wild. But not letting her talk was a choice. And she just gets sick all the time, and then I get upset because the dog's upset. Not a big fan of Latte, honestly. I honestly don't think we needed her. I feel like we had such a stacked cast of our fairies that throwing her in there was not necessary. Oh god, what was your name? You had a funky monkey long name for the, like, queen dog. You had a silly name. Alright, Healing Good. What was your name? I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there probably before you guys put it in chat. Queen Tietanu. Tietanu. I can pronounce words. Tietanu. Tietanu. Queen Tattoo is going to go and probably just Sugar. She's there. She helps out. She tells us that things are going awry. It is what it is. I love Latte. She's a cute puppy. She has a cute design. I'll get you there. I didn't think people thought Kirith was going to be green. Didn't people think Kirith was going to be green? I did. I was like, it's a character named Earth. Why wouldn't she be green? But then again, Precure got really colorblind for the next couple of seasons, because also, what do you mean Cure Spicy is sandwich themed and blue? I gotta bring out that meme where it's like, why are you blue? I don't understand. I have a hard time shipping Kiss and Zakyun. I know she mentions sister a lot, and I know they're not related. I wish they don't sweet home. Yeah, that's my thing with anime in general, is that they're like, what if we make it queer, but we'll Sweet Home Alabama? And I was like, we don't have to do that, though. You could just not. Fun fact, Cure Earth's VA is actually married to a professional wrestler. Dang. The Rainmaker. So intense. Kazuchika Okada. Latte is just an IRL puppy. That being said, so is Kamugi, and I like Kamugi more. Yeah, Kamugi does so much more. Latte, I think they just didn't do anything with her. I also heard in 2023 new Cure, Lemaire, VA, and yeah, I did hear that Cure, Lemaire, and Black Pepper got married. I saw photos. That was cute. All right, this will be my last take of the day. That's going to upset people. So we have to talk about Kuridun. I don't care for Kuridun. She just doesn't do anything. And I know that's the whole joke. The whole joke with Kuridun is she's just there and everybody's. Oh my god. I don't know if you. Glass just fell off my desk. I'm gonna put that back up. Not my glass figure falling down. That's not fun. Even my desk was mad that I said that. Kurirun doesn't do anything, doesn't help, it doesn't harm the series. She's just there, and people are just like, we cheer, that's the whole joke. We all love Kurirun. She's funny because she does absolutely nothing. And I'm like, I don't get the appeal. Like, at least with Kope-sama, he's just there, but also he contributes a lot. He does so much good, and like, while he never does anything on his face, like, there's no expression of him being like, yeah, I helped out, or yes, I feel this way. His actions speak louder than his words. Kuridun has no actions that speak. She's just there. The joke worked for Kope, did not work for Kuridun for me. I know. My theory is of why spicy is blue is because blueberry jam, but that's just for me. That's like the closest thing I've heard that anybody's had as a justification. Because even I asked my friends from Japan and I was like, why is she blue? Is there something about Japanese and spiciness and blue that I don't know about? And they're like, girl, I don't know. That's weird. They were also like, that doesn't make sense in a Japanese context. I think they were just too obsessed with their like pink, blue, yellow formula. That's my best guess is why that happened. And they were like, spicy's a word we can use. I hate people making Yuki and Mayu shippers. They're so annoying. They're everywhere. Yeah, that's just one of those things where I just kind of, again, mute and move on. I try not to get into the shipping discourse. Unless it's on my channel and somebody's fighting me on it, then I'm gonna have my opinions on my own channel. But like in the diaspora of the world, I'm just gonna be like, you go over there. I get why you beat the way you do. Tropical Rouge is a very stacked cast. Very much so. I do remember when they announced all the voice actors. All of them were incredibly, all of them had a huge resume. I respect your opinion. I wish you could have done more. I love Tropical Rouge. That's so fair. I get why people love Kuridun. I get the joke. I get the bit. Let's see. Here, Summer, that's Jolene Kuja. That's what series is that? It's on the tip of my tongue. That's a JoJo Bizarre Adventure thing, is it not? Me trying to pretend I know anything about series I've never watched. Cure Coral. That's Hayasaka from Kaguya-sama Love is War. I think the ones that I remember is that a lot of the cast were also, I was really into Eurocamp at the time. There are a lot of Eurocamp people who were in Tropical Rouge. My younger sister freaking loves Kudu, and it's literally the thing that convinced her to watch Tropical Rouge. I love that. That's actually super cute, though. That's super wholesome. Off topic, but what are your thoughts on Powerpuff Girls Z? Do you have any merch of them? It's a cool iteration. I need to watch it. It's on my list of ones that I need to cover. I'm trying to think of a good season to cover it, because a lot of the way I'm watching Magical Girl series now and actually getting myself to watch them is make them seasonal themed. And so that I'll watch the season that like it feels like it fits in, whether that be spring, summer, winter, or fall. So if you've got a good suggestion, hit me up with that. But yeah, Powerpuff Girls Z is something I want to watch. I've known about it forever, and I just haven't gotten around to it. I've heard it's good. I've heard that it was really, really solid and really popular. I do not have any merch from it, and I have no idea how hard it would be to get merch for that one. But I also am not going to do it right now with the tariffs, because they're god-awful. I wish he was a Cure and being human, being a little sister of Laura. Honestly, like, Cure Kudadun being not more than a joke would have been great. I guess Cure Sandwich wasn't a good enough name. I feel like Sandwich would just be too hard for Japanese kids, and that's probably, like, Subaisi is a little bit easier than Sandoichi. It feels like the designs were made before the names. Yeah, I could see that. Cure Papaya, that's, ooh, Violet Evergarden. Cure Flamingo is Raphael from Shield Hero, and Cure Lemaire, that's Philo from, yeah. What if spicy was green? Like, because lettuce is green and you put on some... Green would have made more sense, honestly. Because there's a lot of spices that are green inherently. Just as, like, the physical spice comes from a green plant. I mean, green peppers and stuff like that. Or there are spicy green peppers. Jalapenos are green, if I'm not being dumb right now. I guess they can be red, too, but... green. Let's be honest, I love Kudadun, but she's probably the most useless fairy. Because she doesn't do anything or talk. Yeah. Alright. I have to look up the name of the fairies for Delicious Party. This is terrible. This season was only a handful of years ago. No, I know them. I take it back. I'm not looking. That's the sound of my laptop closing. Kome Kome. I know who you guys are. It took me a second. Kome Kome. I like Kome Kome. I don't understand why. This is one where I was, like, confused as why she's getting, like, a human form and she keeps aging up. And, like, they were very weird about her. She just, like, wasn't consistently making sense to me. But as a character, she was really cute. I think if she just was a normal fairy like these guys and talked, she would have been better. Put her in health bar. Kome Kome was fine. Pamu Pamu. I love Pamu Pamu. Do I love her that much? I love Pamu Pamu this much. I liked that she was sassy, but she got a soft character as her partner. I feel like that never happens. I feel like they typically have a fairy that matches their personality. I liked that we had the sassiest character on the planet paired with Fontaine. I think that was a good choice. Or not Fontaine. I see this is the problem. Healing Good and Delicious Party aired too closely together and were too similar. Oh my god. Cure Spicy. I'm also hungry. I don't think that's helping me out either. Mem Mem. Mem Mem. It's a cow. Anybody knows that joke? Mem Mem is fantastic. I love Mem Mem. Great character. Honestly, the fairies were good. I need to finish watching the Delicious Party movie. I watched like half of it and then I had to go somewhere and totally forgot to finish it. But they're great in that movie for the few minutes that I've seen of it. If I had a nickel for every time a fairy would voice Cure later, I have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice. Because Kome Kome, that's Kokoro Kyun Kyun. I didn't know that. That was good. Cure Spicy as a green cure, Salse Verde. There you go. There you go. PPC merch was in Brazil, and it costs a lot of money. Honestly, yeah, that makes sense. Wasabi, you see, Wasabi Spicy. She should have been a green cure. Once again, they could just stop being green phobic, and we would solve all their problems. Tsubasa obviously is a 10 out of 10. Without question, it's Tsubasa. I have been a Cure Wing truther since the second they announced that he was a guy. I was like, he's gonna be a good time. He's gonna be history. And he was. I absolutely love Cure Wing with every fiber of my being. No notes. Elchan. Now, Elchan's interesting because we have talked about the babies, and they have been pretty low ranking. Like, we've got our health bar, we've got our salt, and we've got our other salt. But Elchan, it depended on the episode. There were a couple of early episodes that sucked with her. Like, when they had the episode where they're like, we get to witness the baby walking for the first time, which is something that should happen with her parents and not a bunch of random middle schoolers. Didn't love that. However, she didn't whine often, and the one episode that she whined was when she could turn into Majesty and be less annoying and talk it out. Where she was just like, I'm lonely and I feel like I'm getting left behind because I'm a literal baby. But, like, they just handled her way better. I enjoyed her character exponentially more after our mid-season Cure extravaganza occurred. She will actually be going in Cookie with Icing. Highest ranking baby. She cannot go any higher, but she's significantly better. She's the one baby that doesn't bother me as much. I'll say that. And now History Maker, my burb, Tsubasa Cure Wing. He's so fantastic. Honestly, Kome Kome was a good spin on the baby trope. I prefer the baby character to be a transformation. That's true. That's true. She was a baby for such a short period of time that it didn't bother me. I just felt like whatever was going on with her story was weird because I thought she was going to be somebody like Felice, but she just kind of ended up being this, like, character that helps with the power-up and is just more special. Like, I think my beef with her is that they just didn't come up with a good in-series explanation for her. Like, they're like, we want to have a baby animal character that gets older in, like, human forms, and we can make her a baby doll, too. But we're not going to write it in a way that makes sense. And I think they could have just done the writing better. Like, if they're going to do, like, every time they've had a baby, they've not explained why it makes sense for there to be a baby. Like, other than Chiffon was fine. They're just like, you're a babyish god. Whatever. Felice's babyish, like, this is the babyish she gets. She, like, there's more of an explanation. These two have the worst explanation for why they're babies. They're just dumb. And it makes me mad. I don't understand it. God. Toei is so green-phobic they only made 5. I do think the other one they haven't done is brown. I would love a brown cure. But they just need to, like, handle it. Like, the closest we got was Chocolat. That was hilarious. I really don't get the hate for Tsubasa. I've heard the argument for people who don't like Tsubasa. And I vaguely understand where they're coming from. Like, I think this has always been a thing, because this was a huge discussion during Hakuto, actually. And it's one of the, like, I had so many traumatizing moments during, like, the Hakuto era, because I think this was when, like, the fandom was so contentious. And also, I think it was some of my early days on Twitter, where I, like, actually started to use Twitter. I remember that the big argument, and this was specifically started on the Japanese side, not so much the English side, is that there's a huge vocal minority, I suppose, on the Japanese fandom side that did not want there to be a male cure at all, and didn't like the Henri plotline, because they were like, Precure is meant to be this one thing that's for girls. So much of anime, and so much the way anime had been going at the time, and continues to kind of be a problem, is that it is for guys, like, mostly caters to men. Precure is, like, the one series that's trying not to cater towards guys, and actively does try to reinstate the fact that it's for kids, and specifically little girls. And they're like, this is our one thing. We don't want guys in it. We don't want, like, if we're afraid that, like, people are so afraid that if we add a male cure into it, or, like, do anything that's a little bit more catering to boys, it's going to, like, completely, like, take it over like a parasite. And, like, suddenly it's the boy show. But the thing is that that's completely dedicated to what the writers decide to do. Like, there's this thing where they act like adding a boy into the series is the equivalent of, like, introducing a parasite of some kind, or, like, you're putting in, like mold into a house or something, and it spreads like wildfire. It's not, like, people act like that's what's going to happen, but at the end of the day, the writers for the franchise are human beings who have the ability to sit there and write a guy into a series and not have the guy become the whole, like, men getting written into series don't have to eclipse the entire story. They can just like, they can have as much screen time as a writer is going to allow them to have. And to a degree with Toei being a company, how much the company board is going to allow males to have screen time. So it's really going to, like, I personally don't think it's that much of a fear to have, like, a male character who matters a little bit more and gives them, like, a role in the team, but I do think you have to write it well. I think you still have to do, like, a good job at writing. And I think they did a really good job with Cure winning. I also think the Henri plotline was really good. I honestly, Hakuto's such a busy season and has a lot going on, but I will say the one thing that Hakuto, for me, did right is the Henri plotline and the whole, like, they not only did they have a plotline where this guy was going through stuff and ultimately reached a point where he got some level of cure level in the franchise, but they also managed to have him tie his story into the main characters. Specifically, they brought up the topic of gender roles, and I think they did such a good job with that, at least for what they did there. And it's like, you can write it well. So I get where people are like, this is for girls and we're really scared to have guys, like, invade the space, but I'm like, I don't think the writers want that to happen, and I don't think they're gonna let that happen. In the same way that, like, having a female writer and common writer is not going to suddenly turn it into a girly pop show, which is also a weird fear that people have, where they're like, we don't want any girls in our common writer series. It's gonna be too feminine. And I was like, you can just write a really badass, no-nonsense writer and call it a day and just have her be a girl. But that was the mentality. But again, this was, like, a really big thing that was discussed back during the Hakuto era, when we started to have more, and I think Precure did a good job at having slow introductions of male characters in the series that had more and more relevance. Like, that's why we have somebody like Takumi, who is Black Pepper, where it's like, you're not quite a cure, but you're more relevant than most male characters usually are in the franchise. I think this baby stepping has really let the idea soak a little bit more, because I feel like the Japanese audience has been more receptive to the idea of a male cure in recent years. I think the Western fandom has been kind of all over the place, because I think there's definitely people, and it's going to always be, like, a very small minority, but they're very loud, who are like, I hate male characters, I don't want anywhere near them, I want it to only be girls. And I think whether they feel that way or not, you know, makes sense. I think there's an argument you can have there. Sometimes I feel like the motivations are not great. Where the motivations might be a little bit not super great morally. But for the most part, it is what it is. But I think at the end of the day, if you have a season where there's one male cure ever, and it's just Hadogaru Sky, I think you can just not watch that season, and then watch other ones, and be happy. Like, there's stuff this season right now is doing that I don't love, but I'm like, at the end of the day, other people will like it, and it's fine. There are things that are just not for me, but I'm not gonna sit here and, like, dunk on them too hard. I'll just dunk on them a little bit. Anyways, that was a big yap. That was a big emotional yap. Let's get back to the unserious stuff. Da 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 da. I'm not a huge fan of male cures personally, but I don't mind them, which I think is fair. I think it's totally fair. Twitter is trash, yeah. I refuse to call it. We ain't calling it X in this house. I honestly think the whole thing with Henri was a reference to Yuri on Ice. I think that was definitely going to be something that contributed to it, because Yuri on Ice was obscenely popular at the time. It really took off. I had a Tsubasa. I try to combine some words there. I had a Tsubasa blush for my birthday. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, now I'm scared they're gonna animate Dancing Star. I really hope they do Dancing Star. That'd be great. I probably would be. Like, I agree with Melly. It's probably going to be a spinoff with, like, 12 episodes rather than a full season. I think Dancing Stars... See, that's another thing that has been successful, is that a lot of people who are Precure kids, like, a lot of girls who are Precure kids who are now, like, in, like, high school, young adult, has been the demographic that Dancing Star has been really appealing to, because it's been so, like, we got proof that that has been successful, that having a male Precure group has warranted money, because they sold out their shows for Dancing Stars 1, 2, and then I can't remember if 3 has happened yet, or if they just announced 3. Either way, Dancing Stars is widely popular, and I don't know if it'll be... if they think that's enough popularity to facilitate it being into an anime. At the same time, they also might wait until they have done enough shows to have enough story to put into an anime. I'd be surprised if it doesn't become an anime in the distant future, because it's been very successful. They have been making good money off that. So, I'm glad that's the case, because honestly, if the first show flopped, we wouldn't have seen any more of it. And they did say that Dancing Star was doing some kind of collaboration with, I think, Idol Precure. Don't know what that's going to be, but that's exciting. I like Henri as a character. I think he meant a lot in terms of representation. I do think he's a very good character, if no other reason than that. But I like him as a character. His personality's fun. I wish they had a Precure season that was about high school and graduation. I think that would be tough in regards to the fact of when Precure airs, because they started the original Precure in February. The series always has to start in February and end, like, late January. So timing for high school and graduation, or at least for graduation, would be a little bit tougher for them. But they could do a spin-off series about graduation. I do wish they did more in high school, but I understand that's for a younger demographic, so they're going to keep it elementary, middle school for the most part. Them going to high school while being Precure. That would just be fun. That'd be fun. But also, I watch stuff like seasons like Fresh Precure, and I'm like, Fresh Precure feels like high school because they're just so tall. The kids are so tall. It's like me with Sailor Moon, where I'm like, they're in high school because they're way too tall to be middle school students. Anyways, we're at the home stretch here. We're gonna do some... I didn't realize there were so many from Wonderful, but that makes sense. Komugi. This is just me and how I feel about them as characters. This is gonna be kind of tough. I like Komugi. I think she was nice. I do agree by the end of it, I wish her character had done a little bit more. I do think that they really picked her up in the second half of the show, but I do wish she contributed a little bit more in the beginning. But they definitely really committed to her being a dog. So I guess respect for that. I'll put you in Brownie. Now I'm a Nyami stan. I'm a Nyami truther. She is definitely up there for me. I love Nyami a lot. She's the first diva character that I think I've actually liked in the franchise, since the diva characters are not typically my favorite archetype. But I love Nyami. Love her to bits. Now, Daifuku normally I would put up pretty high. But he literally came into the movie. It's really just the movie. That dude literally is the reason why the villain's villained. We could have gotten away with that movie ending in a much happier tone, but he provoked the villain unnecessarily in the movie, and I have mild beef with that. I was like, why did Daifuku have to ruin everything? We almost could have made the movie half as long if it weren't for Daifuku putting a cookie with icing. I'm giving him a small demotion. Because he was a little too sassy. They let him talk, and he talked to a point where it caused problems in the movie. Cure Black is the only black dark cure. Not true. Well, yeah, that's not true, because technically Meroron / Cure Kiss is black now, so we have two. It's hard to use the word black and just refer to only color. But I mean, like, headcanon-wise, if you'd like to think that, go right ahead. I can see that, like, Meroron and Puridun's coloring is questionable as always with our colorblind Toei. Yuki's a good character, but the fandom ruined her. I think this was one where I managed to, like, kind of move away from, like, too much of the fandom hatred. I heard a lot more hatred for Komugi than I did Nyami. I know there's people who just don't like diva characters, and I think Nyami's character development took longer than people would have liked it, because she took a while to become a bit nicer, and she always kind of stood standoffish. To me, it's because she's a cat. Like, unlike other characters where they're themed as cats and then they behave like a cat, she's an actual cat and behaves like a cat, so as a cat owner, I get it. But I definitely understand why people do not like Nyami, and I think it's very valid if they don't care for her. There's a lot of discourse. People didn't like the hugging. They think Komugi and Iroha don't deserve to be cures. There's a lot of, like, discourse with any season. I think Wonderful got picked on. The only discourse about Wonderful that I also pick on, but I say it in jest, is that that Wonderful I can't talk. Wonderful Precure was not a very fighty season, and that these girls cannot fight. They can only save people. They're not fighters, which is really funny because apparently they do some fighting in the Idol movie, and I keep making the joke that that's an oxymoron, but I do it in jest. I'm not here to, like, actually be for real, because again, there are seasons that definitely go the more pacifistic route, Hogato, and I don't love the pacifistic route that they go, Hogato, but I think it makes sense for Wonderful Precure. I think Wonderful Precure is a season that actually wrote it in a way that makes sense. This is a season where they actually have good writing to justify their actions, and that's what I want to see. I want to see better writing. Like, if you're gonna do something I don't like, at least have a good reason for it. I like Daifuku because he's a good bunny. He's voiced by Satoru Gojo. I did know that. I did. People would not shut up about him being Gojo. That was funny. That was pretty funny when the movie dropped and everybody's like, "Oh my god, it's Gojo!" That was always funny to me. I do like that Wonderful Precure. Well, let's be Precure. Oh, we can't. I do not like the fights. They're just boring. I'm glad you and Idol finally brought back fighting and justice. Yeah, I definitely think that it was not for everybody, but I also was pretty confident that that season was going to be the only season that does what it did, and people wanted the fighting. It also helped that Japanese Twitter was also like, we want the fighting back, and then Toei was like, we'll give you the fighting back. Because they absolutely... if there was going to be a season where they didn't have violence again, it would have been this one. They would have pulled a Mermaid Melody and say, we just sing and we don't actually fight. They could have done that, but they were like, no, you guys want the fighting back, and they gave it back to us, and I was like, thank you. I'm glad that we're all united on one front. I like Kirinami. There we go. And I assume Cure Daifuku would love Daifuku. I almost said Cure Daifuku, which, you know, did he ever get a Cure name? No, he deserves one, though. I like Mei, but he was low-key messy, especially with Iro, which I expected from Komugi. I will say that I expected Komugi to be more of a brat with Satoru and Iroha getting together. There was that one scene in the opening where she, like, sits in between them when the two of them were looking romantic, so I thought she was going to be a problem, because Komugi already had, like, possessive issues before. And so I thought she was gonna be more of a problem, but she wasn't. Komugi was, like, very amicable about it. Mei coming out of left field being like, I'm jealous because I like my boy Satoru was so funny. I did not expect that. I loved Mei. I kind of did not expect this little sheep to be a character I enjoyed, but I really liked him. I thought he was a big Dorkenstein. He was funny. The fact that he is one of the only supporting characters to take out an enemy all on his lonesome was impressive. He was pretty funny. Which Precure fairy would be friends with Kiko from Wings Club? Oh my god. That's a blast from the past. Dude, if I had to pick it, we need to be a slightly more intelligent fairy, because I would say Kuridoon, but Kuridoon's too head empty. Who would be a good Kiko one? A like maybe Kome Kome, like the non-verbal thing could probably work with them. That's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. Daifuku's human design and that voice, it doesn't match, but it works so well. I think that's the funniest joke, is him having a deep voice was such a good call. It was so silly. I hate green cure look just like blue. I am sick of the seafoam green and cyan. Yeah, I definitely think I'm definitely somebody who'll crack a joke about the whole seafoam green stuff. With them being like toothpaste instead of green. I'm like, they do be scared of spring green for some reason. Or even just like a lime green. Like they just I don't know what Toei's deal with green. Like we wouldn't have this animosity in the fandom if Toei would just do green normally. Like, they did such a good job, too. Like, they could add a little bit more green to, Zakyun, and that would be a fine one for me. I think they have the potential. They're just scared of it. I genuinely think that it's not about the colors that sell the characters. I think it's about how you write the characters and if people like them. I think it helps that Komugi generally likes hanging around Satoru while Meimei feels disrespected by Iroha. Which is funny too, because Meimei had more animosity with Komugi than Iroha. He was like, oh, Iroha's more respectful, but then when he started to realize that Iroha is also kind of head empty sometimes, he's like, dang it, I need Satoru. It was weird. Like, honestly, Meimei and Iroha is an interesting combination because like they wanted her to be head empty enough that Satoru would be friends with Meimei, but she's also way more responsible than Komugi, so it's a very weird balance that they had to strike there. They did so dirty with Kiko and the new Wings. I'm scared to watch the reboot, dude. I was so hyped for the reboot initially when they started to show, like, they leaked some of the early stuff, like the early clips of it specifically, and I was so excited for it. And then everything since they had like the AI allegations and everything after, I've been like, I'm too depressed to interact with it, but I really wanted to watch it and really like it and have it be another thing because I loved Wings Club as a kid. It was such a like pillar and it's really fallen for no reason. Speaking of which, one more. Komugi is voiced by Kana from oh yeah, that makes sense. And then Anya. I didn't know Iroha was Anya from Spy Family. Alright, we're getting to the end of it here. We've got good old-fashioned Nico-sama. Totally not stealing the other Nico name from the Smile Precure movie. Nico-sama. Now this is back on my thing where I was like, I do not love diva characters. It's an archetype that I don't vibe with. And Nico-sama is absolutely somebody in the diva character, like the diva character category that I don't care for. I don't really like her that much. Put her down here. Like, I can't be mean enough to say that she belongs in Salt, but I just didn't care for her all that much. Like, her sassiness and, like, her being mean to Meimei, I was just not for me. I know a lot of other people found it funny and found her entertaining, and they're like, we love our diva. I just don't like diva characters. I'm so sorry. They are not for me. I'll take my Nyami flavored diva over a Nico-sama diva. Thank you, Daifuku, for saving the day for Meimei. Oh, that was another reason why Daifuku is such a fantastic character. I might, I'm moving him up with Meimei. That's true, he did put Meimei in his place. He is recovered from his movie mishap. Justice for Kiko 2025. Facts! Get ready for disappointment. Yeah, the Wings Club, I'm just not vibing with it. I still wish Nico-sama was voiced by Nico from Love Live. That would have been peak casting and would rank her higher on the tier list. I will say that. That would earn her some points to be moved up. Alright. The Kirin animals. It's hard to rank them because, like, some of them are the most nothing burger things in the universe. Some of them are straight up cursed. Like, I'm looking at you, Kitsune. Your power is evil, and had some of the most traumatizing moments in the franchise for me. But, like, the fawn Kitadine animal was fantastic, and she did a lot for Nyami's character development. The rabbit also contributed, and then the swan was easily the prettiest ability that they could all have. The rest of them I don't really remember, if I'm being completely honest with you, so they're very difficult to rank. Like, I think it's just safe to put it in the dead middle and stick it in health bar and call it a day. I think that's like the best thing I can say for that. I don't know. They're just kind of there. Oh my god. She's voiced by Hayate from Nanoha. Oh. Subomiya's Fate. Dudu is Nanoha. See, all these connections I should have known. But that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Kitadine Swan was peak. Facts. Absolute facts. Diva gave them the prettiest wings. The rabbit is the same voice as Cure Idol. Yeah, I think people have mentioned, like, before that the joke is that every time you voice a rabbit in Precure, you'll reincarnate to a Cure later down the line. But also, the rabbit had so many voice lines before. They remind me of the smiling critters from Poppy Plant. They do, though. I see the vision. I see the vision here. I was disappointed that Nico didn't really have a connection with the villain, especially since it felt like that was implied. Yeah, that's the same thing I felt. I feel like they dropped the ball with having Nico be relevant. But when the wolf kept being like, the diamond unicorn, and I was like, okay, so she's not relevant. They don't know each other. He doesn't give a fuck. I gotta stop cussing. So bad. I said I was gonna cuss less because people don't like it. I'm sorry. I will defend Meroron with my life. She was way too overhated. We will now get to the final fairies of today's tier list. The grand finale, Puridun and Meroron. Which, to be honest, when I started this season, I kind of was like, yeah, Puridun's just gonna be another one of those fairies. Like, I thought she was gonna be like a Hummy or a Candy or like whatever. Puridun is, like, ironically enough, one of the best written fairies we've had in a hot minute. And I think it is because she became a cure. I do think it is because she became a cure. Like, honestly, the people up here who, like, you know, get to cure level rank high. Like, we got 4 cures up here. And 5 if we're gonna pretend that Rabbidine's a cure. She's just really well written. Like, I think she does all the things that a classic... Oh my god, there's a leaf in my hair. She is the classic head empty, silly Billy fairy. But I think she gets serious when she needs to. She gets emotional when she needs to. Like that one scene where she's crying on the porch before she leaves, before becoming Zakyun, and she's talking to Uta, had me in a chokehold. I was very emotional. She can be there when she needs to be. She's cute and fun. I really liked Puridun way more than I thought I was going to. She really changed the game for me. I did not expect myself to like Puridun in the like least bit, and I really did enjoy her. Meroron is an interesting one because I feel like if I had done this tier list any sooner than like within the last 2 episodes, she would be elsewhere on this list. Meroron came in here and was basically everything that I wanted Milk to be and make her tolerable. Like, she was jealous, but her jealousy did not impede the plot, and she wasn't overly mean, and like when Milk was mean to Nozomi would get sad. But when Meroron was mean to, like, Uta didn't notice. Uta didn't really pick it up. Or even Uta did notice, but, like, was like, she's just doing that jealous thing, it's whatever, and didn't affect her emotionally. Her words didn't hurt. When she became Kiss, she sucked. She was awful for most of the duration that she was Kiss. And she, like, was like, no, for real, I am basically an antagonist in this series. And they gave her no character development. Despite her getting character development prior to being Kissed, she was really actually growing a little bit closer, incrementally. She plateaued really hard. It was really terrible. I loved her Kiss design, but I was really mad that she was just not changing. And then they're like, the reason why she didn't get any character development is because we put her character on hold for a lot of episodes until we had the end of her arc. And now she's fine. Now she's a fantastic character. Like, for what little we've seen post-Meroron arc, she's great. Like, she loves her sister. She wants to have a Yuri time. I need to not say sister, because that's not what it is. The whole Neitama thing is Like, they're very weird about that. We're gonna pretend I didn't just say that. She loves Puridoon, who's not her sister. She just uses the honorific that they use in Japanese, where they just refer to everybody as their siblings or family relatives when they're close. But that's not what they mean. And she's great. She's honestly significantly improved, and she goes to the top for me again. I honestly really, really like her. And I think she will be better. But again, it's one of those ones where I'm like, the second they decide to figure out what they're doing with Meroron, she'll be good. And that's precisely what happened. They finally were like, hey, we realized that she needs to move forward. And we are going to stop putting her plotline on hold for a bunch of other BS. And then we're going to actually have a good episode for her. And I find her, like, getting over the problem with the lock and key way more compelling than Puridoon's. I also like how they handled her, like, rejecting the darkness rather than accepting the darkness inside of her, because, like, you don't need to accept your jealousy. You can say that, like, I'm jealous, but I'm not going to be jealous anymore. I like that a lot better. Alright, catching up. Puridoon wanted the hot dogs in episode 1. Dude, her soloing that hot dog was hilarious. Will there be a tier list for villains? If there's one that exists, I don't really want to pull one together personally. Just because it would take way too long. This may be one of my last Precure tier lists if I can't think of any other ones. I know I'm gonna do other Magical Girl tier lists in the future. Like, I might do, like, a Winx form tier list. Probably do a Sailor Moon tier list. Like, there's a couple other that I'm thinking to do. If anybody has suggestions, you can either say in chat or post it in the community tab on YouTube if you want to. I think right now the community tab is most accessible on mobile YouTube. Don't ask me why YouTube is bad at updating itself. But yeah, if you want to make a post or you want to put out a poll or anything like that, I think you have the ability to do that, so feel free to post there. If not on stream, or you could comment on the video if you're watching the VOD for this. Either or works. I'm willing to do any tier list that exists. And I don't have to make it. With Rainbow using AI for stuff, I was shocked but not surprised because they're the same studio that stole the design and whitewashed 2 of its members. I honestly don't know what Rainbow's been doing lately. Another disheartening thing I heard about Rainbow, which is the company that does Winx, is that a lot of the people who worked on the season and why some of the animation is so stiff, which was very weird because they just came out with their Mermaid series that had pretty solid enough animation for it. But the animation I've seen so far for the Winx reboot has been awful. Allegedly, they have only hired, like, interns and not full-time employees and then just fired them afterwards. Or, like, you know, didn't keep them on very long and paid them very little, which is why the animation is garbage. And it's been incredibly upsetting that that's what they've been doing. Especially when they're, like, out here trying to compete with stuff. Like, listen, I'm ready for anybody to be a little bit more competitive with Miraculous Ladybug because I also don't like the staff for Miraculous Ladybug. But, like, Rainbow's been worse than the Miraculous staff, and I'm like, come on, the bar is in hell, you can do better. I will defend Meroron with my life, she's way too overhated. Fair, so fair. Alright, I don't know why Winx Club blames Nickelodeon for seasons 5 to 7 when they literally don't make any of it on its own. Honestly, the production of Winx is something I need to look into because it doesn't make a lot of sense to some degrees. Like, the fact that they redrew an entire show, like, I know they had to censor stuff for Nickelodeon, but, like, I don't know how any of that happened and what was going on. It's very confusing. Puridoon is voiced by Yoshino Nanjo, which is funny considering some of the cast the Precure franchise were in Symphogear, Nodoka, Tsubomi, Elda, and the Shrimp Maid, Belle from Otana 23, and Amane. I did know that there was some crossover with Symphogear, and then I know that Nodoka's voice actress was Madoka for Healing Good. I'm glad that they add green over white for Zakune's dress. Honestly, everything about Zakune's design was, like, surprisingly refreshing in terms of the franchise. I'm very happy with it. And now she's being a sweet person to help you out. In terms of Meroron, very much so. Like, Meroron's 180 and very supportive of Uta now is so refreshing. Uta and Nana's and Meroron's dynamic is one of my favorite this season. I love that they made Nana more relevant to Meroron, especially since Nana, I feel like, is one of the characters that's going to get sidelined in a series like this. Because, like, Kyun has so much personality. Kyun / Kokoro has a lot of personality to give. And Nana's just kind of there. And so I feel like having her pair up with somebody like Meroron makes her character far more relevant and far sweeter. I liked from the cuts that I saw for the movie, they had Wink fighting with Kiss, and I really liked that as well. Like, even if it's just them being in the same frame together, I was like, they work very well together and they get along very well. Still to this day, I don't get why Cure Muse is yellow when her fairy toad is purple. That's that stuff where they're like, well, she was like purplish when she was the what was her masked form's name? When she was just running around in her little jester outfit. And then they're like, surprise, she's yellow. You never saw that coming. And we're like, oh, that's crazy. New fairy in 2026 coming soon. Now, which Precure fairy would be friends with Luna and Artemis from Sailor Moon? Definitely one of the duos. Like, probably the Heartcatch duo would be good for Luna and Artemis. I also feel like Artemis would probably get along with Tart. If I was making a little guessy there. Maybe a tier list on the side characters or the theme songs and endings. I did theme songs and endings. They are on my channel. They're a bit down further. We did do music. We did music art, and then we did music, the art of the music, and we did the music of the music. We did those tiers lists so far. I think I've done all of it for openings and endings, but don't quote me on that. I may have to double check. Transformation items or weapons tier, that would be good. That would be a pretty good one. I have to see if it exists, because it'd be really helpful if I don't have to do it myself, but a merchandise ranking would go pretty hard, and I'm almost positive I haven't done that yet. I know I've stated my opinions on several of them so far, but that would be a fun tier list. New fairies in 2026. What else have we missed? Still mourning that Miraculous could have been an anime with the PV, but season 6 new animation style is beautiful though. They also are doing an anime for the Tokyo special that I think they're pairing up with Toei Animation for. But yes, the OG PV for Miraculous. Lost to a test of time, but girl, I loved it so much. I'm locked in for a Frozen season, and we already have seasons with flowers, and it's a bit overrated. So my headcanon for a good ice-themed season, just like have a frosty aesthetic to it, because it doesn't work for every like seasonal thing, or like you can't pull well, maybe they could pull like a tropical Rouge where they just kind of do it through the winter. I think they should do one. It takes place in Hokkaido, and it should be ballet themed. Because I feel like ballet lends itself so well to being iced. I'm 100% saying that because the only time I really interact with ballet a lot was the winter. Because my sister was a professional ballerina, and she would be in the Nutcracker every year. And so I like me and ballet and ice all like a ballet season would be so fun. Like having a Princess Tutu vibed season, which also Princess Tutu is another one that I'm like, this is a winter anime. It's not. It can be a whatever season anime, but to me, I'm like, that's a winter anime. Da, 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 da. Let's talk about the creative miraculous the better. I don't have problems with Zach. I have problems with Thomas. Thomas be saying stuff where I'm like, get that man off social media. Am I reading this correctly? Let me know. For me, I like Yilali. I hope that's not what I hope that's what I hope it's something. Winx deserve better. Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, we have done our list. As we can see, we have achieved a new tier that we've never had before, which is the dirt tier, which the picture for Coco is so funny. Seeing like this little goober and then he's in dirt. New phone who dis was a fun category. I still don't know the name of this guy. No, don't know what we were doing here. And then we have the rest of our tiers, which you know I think is fair enough. You all bared with me with my like harsh opinions for some characters. Other ones I think were very in line with the rest of the fandom. Like, who hates Mafudu? Let's be real. So I really appreciate you guys sticking around for all of this. Again, I'll think of another tier list. I'm gonna probably alternate tier lists for the upcoming stream schedule for Sundays. Sunday, I think next week will probably be another like chill art stream if I'm not doing anything that day. To be fair, there's a small chance I might go pumpkin picking and I won't be able to stream. But otherwise, if I'm not picking pumpkins, I will be streaming this time, same time next week. Probably do an art stream or like do like a soft gaming where it's gonna be more chatty, less anything else. But we'll see. Coco is trash, in fact, for real. For reals. For reals. Alright. So I guess I will see you guys later. And until next time, bye bye.